What? Why? It's so fucking gay, man. It's absolutely flood with all this fucking shit, man. I can't bear it anymore. Just endless shit that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. You called him a pissed, attempted murderer. Where's the proof of that? You've called him a pedophile, and we're here going over the intricacies of the litigation that was happening. That doesn't prove anything. God, Jameskii's such a fucking sack of man. I wish that TwoMad had gone to fucking TwitchCon, to be honest with you, okay? I wish he had gone to fucking TwitchCon and taught Jameskii a fucking lesson. Because this isn't stuff. If he'd gone to TwitchCon, I wouldn't be sat here reading this fucking document right now, okay? Jesus Christ. Okay, right. Chud, let's get on to the TwoMad stuff. Does the TwoMad stuff blackpill you at all? At first, I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of crazy this guy's getting accused, now he's dead and he can't defend himself. But then after a period of time, I just kind of was like, well, what more can you really say about it? Like, the guy's gone now. But yeah, obviously people believing things without evidence is just par for the course on the internet now, sadly. But guys, we've got a special rape review today. I think it is the first time that we've done a rape review about a dead man. So without any further ado, welcome to a slightly more somber rape review. Okay, so that was for TwoMad. Rest in peace, TwoMad. So basically, a little while ago now, a month ago. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. So basically, the long and the short of it is that this Jameskii guy came out with some pretty serious allegations about TwoMad within about 30 minutes or so of him dying. He'd put a tweet out saying this, right? Now, I actually covered TwoMad before this when the allegations against him dropped. And I think that looking at it, I'd concluded that, yeah, this guy harassed this woman. He clearly was like setting up burner accounts and harassing her. Came across as kind of quite psychotic and insane in the way that he acted.
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money
Thank you for the $5.
off depressed people?
$5 from Puddle Sucker. Rest in power, Kang.
Yeah, the ear rape is getting retired soon, by the way, guys. I know it's a funny meme. But yeah, we're going in a slightly different direction. But don't worry, we're going to keep the spirit of the whole thing. We're going to keep the spirit of the whole thing, so don't worry about that, okay? We're gonna have a new intro, a remastered intro. It's gonna be great, okay? We're gonna keep the flavor. Don't worry. So, I want royalty. Oh, you mean your AI songs? I think we're gonna keep the same music actually, but it's not quieter, but with the distortion. Anyway, don't worry. Though, trust me, it is actually happening now. It's actually legitimately happening, okay? Yeah, don't worry. We're going to keep the same flavor. Trust me. So, anyway, my basic view on TwoMad when I initially covered this, when the allegations came out against him, was he was definitely harassing this woman. He was definitely kind of a psychotic freak, insane person. Okay. The allegation of like sexual assault, obviously it was a he said, she said situation. There was some evidence that was suggested was him apologizing for the sexual assault having happened, but the video that she presented didn't necessarily prove anything, right? So it was a bit up in the air. And I think I probably sided more so on, it could have happened, but there's not really enough good evidence to say as much, right? And then when this came out, there was a whole new host of allegations. And originally, when I talked about this, I looked at this and I thought, okay, well, I thought it was more of sexual assault. I could maybe understand calling TwoMad a rapist, but that's probably too extreme a sort of claim for me. But I could at least understand someone saying that about TwoMad based on the fact there was at least some allegation against him that had some possible grounding. But the paedophile thing was crazy to me. That was like, what? Like, nothing had ever been said about this guy that suggested he'd done anything pedophilic. but now we're calling him a pedophile, apparently. And then he went on to accuse him of being an attempted murderer. And again, that's another claim that I hadn't heard before. So out of the 3 claims, one is a possibly, but still probably wouldn't say it like that. Another is just insane, never heard that before, don't even know where that's coming from. And then the attempted murderer thing seemed totally absurd to me as well, based on the very limited information that we had. So yeah, that's kind of where we started, really. So in any case, this was received quite mixed. I think some people immediately jumped on the fact that this idea that TwoMad was definitely all of these things. I think that what was required was more of a kind of moderate, like, movement forward with presenting whatever evidence you've got to kind of back up what you're claiming about the guy, right? But fundamentally, what it comes down to for me is like, okay, the guy's dead. The guy's dead, okay? I don't really think there's much more to be said about TwoMad. The guy tragically died. It's sad that this guy decided to, within 30 minutes, start besmirching his name. I thought that was a crazy thing to do. But fundamentally, the guy's dead, and I think I covered it a bit in the next couple of days, and then obviously things moved on to other things. But yeah, I think that for me, I wouldn't really care so much if it was just a restating of like what we was already accused of. But I think that calling a recently dead man a pedophile without evidence, without even, as far as I could tell, a substantial allegation against him of that, I think is fucking insane. You know, and I think it's wrong to, in the moments that someone has died, realized they've died, to put these labels on them when there's no good evidence of that, or even a testimony of that. You know, and basically this pedophile claim was apparently linked to this apparent 13-year-old that was in a psych ward that TwoMad had spoken to. And I don't know the full extent of what that looked like, but this person that came forward and said, no, he wasn't a pedophile, you know, and kind of somewhat defended TwoMad against this idea that he was some sort of predator in that respect. So, yeah, that's kind of where I was with it when I saw this. And that's the kind of situation. Anyway, the reason we're talking about this again today is because, you guessed it, he's finally released the evidence. So a month after making the claims, he's finally released this evidence that he had that apparently is going to back up these claims. So I'm going into this with an open mind. I want to see what there is here, if there's any substance here. I want to see if there's anything to back up, particularly the pedophile claim, particularly the attempted murderer claim, and the rapist claim, if there's anything here that would suggest that. I've watched Henry Resilient's coverage of this and coverage of some of the court documents that are already kind of available somewhat, right? And I think that after looking at those, it's kind of like, well, I don't know myself if I could say that I know for sure that TwoMad is a rapist, but it's like he has done everything he can to put that view across in the way that he's acted. And I think that it's easy to sit here and go, it's just jokes, and some of them probably are just jokes. But I think, particularly with not even the rapist thing, but the harassment thing, it's like, if someone is schizo and is saying crazy shit all the time, right? I think it's pretty reasonable that if you're at the sharp end of that, you might feel a bit like, oh my God, I feel a bit of risk from this. Do you see what I mean? Like, I think that people, like, to defend TwoMad against unreasonable claims, that's fine. But TwoMad was a total psychotic freak, okay? I know he's dead, right? But there's no denying, regardless of whatever the reason was, he was a schizophrenic, insane person. And it's not completely unreasonable that people would be bothered by his behavior, you know? I think that, again, from looking at the document before, like the court case document, what it came across like to me is that, yes, they were presenting things in a, you know, a dishonest way in some cases. But I think the reason they did that in the court documents was because they really wanted to make sure that they got this restraining order against TwoMad, which I think is perfectly reasonable because TwoMad, it's, you know, the Goldie Bell person was probably freaked the fuck out by him. So I don't really care if they put information in a court document to be like, you know, get this freak away from me, whatever you have to do to make that happen, right? However, I think that the Jameskii person, I think that there's a level of dishonesty from him because he's taking that, which I think is quite obviously done in a way to get the restraining order, and pointing to that as hard proof of things. Do you see what I mean? I think that's wrong. Like, for example, there's a video in the court document where TwoMad says that the gun he's holding is fake, but it's presented in the court document as if it's a real gun, but it is a fake gun. Fine for the court document, but to get the restraining order, but you can't then point to that and go, well, look, he's got a gun there. And it's like, but in the video, he says it's fake. So that's not good evidence, like publicly, but for a restraining order, do what you need to do to get it done. Do you see what I mean? Does that make sense? So that's kind of the way that I've looked at this so far. But anyway, we finally got the document. So let's have a look. Yes, I know he did say he had real guns. Yes, I agree with you. I totally agree. I like, from Goldie Bell's perspective, I don't expect someone that's receiving this shit to be like, oh, is it real? Is it not real? I'm not sure, so I'm going to err on the side of thinking it's not real. Like, if someone is acting like a total schizo freak and it's freaking you out, you're going to want to get them away from you, and that's fine. That's totally fine, okay? It's the act of presenting it publicly to make a damning condemnation of TwoMad as if he's guilty of all these crimes, definitely in the court of public opinion. That's the thing that I don't like about all of this, right? So that's kind of where I stand. But anyway, let's read the document. Let's see if there's anything in here that's going to give me some new perspectives or any proof of anything further, okay? This document delves into a critical analysis of TwoMad's crimes, both online and in person, that have profoundly impacted TwoMad's victims' lives. I urge readers to approach the content with care and empathy. Please respect the privacy of the victims and leave them alone. Thank you. Mentions of evidence of SA, drug abuse and violence are included throughout the text, which may be disturbing for some viewers. This is formatted for the desktop version. For users on mobile, please switch to... Okay. We're on desktop, so that's fine. To begin this document, it should be clear that TwoMad owned both airsoft and real firearms. The investigation discovered a real Glock 15 and AR-15 among prop weapons. TwoMad's fascination with guns and his drive to push legal and moral boundaries to see what he could get away with was public knowledge. Included below are private and public references of him using and being in possession of illegal firearms, as well as references of him trying to dispose of his guns. So this, I mean, you know, we'll have a quick look at this in a sec. Here's the thing.
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
$9.99 from Mr. Frex. Judging a very ill person who refuses to seek regular routine treatment, therapy, judging as a neurotypical, always will come away with strange result. There are no winners or easy answers.
Thank you very much for the $10. I think that some of what we're going to look at here is like TwoMad, like I say, was having like a psychotic fucking episode from the sounds of it, and he was fucking all over the place, right? But again, I just don't think it's reasonable to look at someone who is at the sharp end of this kind of harassment and go, well, he could be joking about it. He's just having a fucking mental episode. You know, if someone was coming at me with this energy, and there was any doubt about whether or not they had a fucking gun, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be like, oh, well, let me just think this. Like, as far as I'm concerned, they've got a fucking gun, okay? And I'm fucking contacting the police about it and doing whatever I can to not get shot. Do you see what I mean? So I'm willing to say that, yes, from her perspective, and maybe even from Jameskii's perspective, it could be that they were worried he had some sort of firearm that he was going to come and fucking shoot them with. It's very spooky. Oh, hang on. Spooky. I'm not allowed to say that, am I? So anyway, let's read through this, though, and see if there's anything that gives us like 100% clarity. So TwoMad's public references to being in possession of someone else's firearms. September 2023, Gokanaru and Turkey Tom. TwoMad's public references to him putting a loaded gun to his head. Okay, we'll have a look at that in a sec. That's scary, man. Like, I've done it once, I can do it again. Yeah, but like, why, Lamau? What I did was like demon shit, like, relax. Look, I also bought an AR-15 and Glock during that period. Selling it now. I bought it because I was like, let me shoot holes in the walls. Like, what you doing? What the fuck?
Did you ever...
Guys, look, I know that he said about the gun not being real, and I've already referenced that, but I don't think that really changes the fact that from her perspective and his erratic behavior around this issue, I don't think it's that crazy that at the time you might be worried about him having an actual gun. We'll see what these clips say. So I recognize that there's information and evidence that shows him saying they're not real and he had some fake guns, but if someone's coming at you with that energy, I don't expect you to be, you know, on the fence about it. You're going to want to, for your own protection and safety, think, oh, he's probably got a gun, just to be on the safe side, right?
Did you ever at any point, like, actually show her a real firearm or not?
No.
Did you have them?
Perhaps.
Were they yours or like someone else's?
No, there's somebody else's.
Okay. All right. Shit. Huh. When you say there was someone else's, like, were you using them? Like, did you take them to the range or anything?
No.
Okay. Where were you keeping them?
Oh my fucking! I was keeping it in the fucking the hurt locker.
What the?
That's what she was.
Oh shit! Okay.
See, you listen to that clip, and you're like, is he joking or not? And I can sit here and I can have a take on that without any risk to my fucking life. Whereas if you're being harassed by this guy, you don't want to take that fucking risk, do you? Right? Like, let's be fucking real here. Right, what's this one?
Like, I had a friend say that. He was like, yeah, that's rock bottom. It's like, that's not rock bottom. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, rock bottom is subjective. And everyone's got a different one.
Rock bottom. I don't even know what that is. Like,
it's whatever the lowest you feel like you could ever go before being like, oh, I'm done. Yeah. Whatever drives you to your breaking point.
that sounds like mania.
Kinda. It can fucking rock bottom can drive people insane. Manic. Make people lose it. Understandably.
Yeah, no, but you're right. The reason why we thought I was hitting rock bottom is because I had a loaded gun pointed at my head as a joke. It's like, obviously I'm not going to pull the trigger, but because she's a fucking woman, and women can't. Women just fucking can't calibrate shit normally. She can't realize that, like, we do this with the boys all the time. Even though it frightens the fuck out of you. I've literally done this before. Like, it's funny. Obviously, if I had, like, a happy girlfriend or marriage, I wouldn't feel the need to put a gun to my head for fun or whatever. But I don't have that. So,
Right. Okay. It's not a joke to actually have it loaded. The joke would be if it's unloaded. Even if you have an unloaded firearm, you should never aim it or point it at someone's head. even if it's unloaded, even if that's that's like a typical gun safety thing, right? Even if it's unloaded, you know 100% there's not a round in the chamber, you never, ever, ever point it at someone's head, because there could be something lodged, there could be like a round lodged in there or something that you're not aware of, or you know what I mean? You never do that, right? It is one of the principal rules of gun safety. Even if you've checked it 100% without doubt, never, ever, ever point it at someone, even as a joke, right? In fact, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not sure if a cat-addled psychotic freak is going to have gun safety at the forefront of their mind. But yeah, there's like the full rules of gun safety, isn't there? Yeah. Now, always keep firearm pointed in a safe direction. Treat all guns as though they're... So that's 2, isn't it? Treat all guns as though they're loaded. By treating every firearm as if it's loaded, a habit of safety is developed. Yeah. Rule number 1, have fun. Gun safety isn't important. Okay. Anyway. The Superior Justice Court ordered TwoMad to turn in all firearms legally. If TwoMad had surrendered his firearms, he'd need to file a document stating that and notify all parties. This would incriminate him since he had them illegally in the first place and none were registered to his name. The investigation found that he never surrendered his weapons and held on to them. This refusal to surrender them was brought up in court, but LAPD refused to take the guns despite the court's order. The judge also instructed the authorities to search TwoMad properties, but the LAPD chose not to and implied that we should complain in court. You must sell or store with a licensed gun dealer or turn into a law enforcement agency any firearms and firearm parts in your possession or control. This was done 24 hours. File a receipt with the court within 48 hours of receiving this order that proves that your firearms and firearms parts have been turned in, stored, or sold. Due to California's governing system, the LAPD can get away with a lot of misconduct. See, like, this is an opinion, right? I'm wanting cold, hard facts in this, right? The video is good, the message is good, and I'm willing to accept that there was a chance a psychotic, fucking insane, drug-addled freak had a gun and you were scared of them. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm cool accepting that, right? But some of this stuff is like, this is an opinion. But let's have a look at this. Here's an example of an LAPD officer refusing to act on TwoMad, violating the court's order in real time and implying they will let him do as much as he wants. They also refuse to enforce the order to take his real guns. See, it's quite clear to me that that so far we're only a couple of pages in, and to me, I'm already seeing his bias come into play very strongly, right? There's lots of opinions here. It's not just a presentation of the facts. He's making a lot of kind of assertions about the LAPD, some of which sound fucking insane. The idea that the LAPD wouldn't act on what, a court order.
I know lawyers say like, oh, you need a police report. No, you do not. You can actually go and present your evidence and show that he's violating the restraining order, and then a judge will deal with that accordingly. Nothing's going to happen until your day at the courthouse, so he can violate it every day up until then and say like...
Arrest required if order is violated. If an officer has probable cause to believe the restrained person has notice of the order and has disobeyed the order, the officer must arrest the restrained person.
Oh, you need a police report? No, you do not. You can actually go and present your evidence and show that he's violating the restraining order, and then a judge will deal with that accordingly. Nothing's going to happen until your day at the courthouse, so he can violate it every day up until then, and nothing's going to be done. We're not going to go over there and break his door down and take his guns. That's going to be addressed in court.
Okay. So who is this guy on the phone? California law authorizes a search warrant the property to be seized as firearm that a person who's subjected to protective orders failed to relinquish as required by law. LAPD refusing to do anything about TwoMad's illegal guns. Tell the court to make us style. So the LAPD is pro-civil rights. Well, I've got a 30-second... I mean, I just don't have enough context. I don't know who the guy on the phone is. I'm not a legal expert, so I can't possibly begin to interpret what this means and what the... Like, this is way beyond anyone's ability unless you've got some level of expertise in this shit, right? Especially when we got such a short call with someone who is unidentified. So, it's possible the LAPD fucked up, but I can't really say that for certain based on that. Anyway, continuing on, I will further acknowledge the situation with the LAPD not enforcing the law letter in this document. I mean, you know, I'm willing to accept that there could have been mistakes in how it was handled, right? I don't think that's completely out of the question, right? It's possible that things were mishandled. Whether or not that proves that conclusively, I don't know. I don't think, to me, I don't know enough to say for sure. And also, yeah, another important point. When did this take place? Was this before or after the restraining order was issued?
Say like, oh, you need a police report. No, you do not. You can actually go and present your evidence and show that he's violating the restraining order, and then the judge will deal with that accordingly. Nothing's going to happen until your day at the courthouse. So he can violate it every day up until then, and nothing's going to be done. We're not going to go over there and break his door down and take his guns. That's going to be addressed in court.
Not sure when that's from. Not sure who it is. Nothing is clear, so I can't really say anything further on that. Anyway, continuing on. I'll further acknowledge the situation. LAPD not enforcing the law in its document. One of the biggest concerns was that TwoMad would take lethal doses of his drugs and go out of his way to specific locations in person as he wouldn't be thinking straight. Example, TwitchCon incident. Category C felony that followed it after. Suspect, Sadaic Medea, alias TwoMad. Pokemon 333. Okay, this... Note, TwoMad changed his profile picture and display name repeatedly to confuse the authorities. So why, like, that isn't a fact. That's not a proven fact of the matter. That's your opinion. That's your perspective. How on earth are you going to sit here and try and put a fucking opinion in like this and act like that's true when what's more likely? TwoMad was kind of like, you know, deviously changing his profile picture and name to elude the authorities, or he was fucking psychotic and completely out of fucking control behavior, and he was just acting off of pure impulse and ketamine fucking K-hole shit, you know? So yeah. And also, yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, the at stayed the same. The at stayed the same. Yeah, exactly. Imagine the police are like, we're just on his trail on Twitter and he's disappeared. Where did he go? It's like the at's the same. How is that fucking eluding you so hard? Anyway, this is going to annoy me already because I can see already there's a couple of things that I'm like, okay, fair. The gun thing, maybe you thought he had a gun. Reasonable, okay? But then you're talking about the LAPD and saying all this shit about them. Then you're making claims like this. Like, it seems pretty clear to me that you know, from what I heard in this before as well, but looking at it now, there's going to be a few things that I'm like, okay, that's a fair point, but just a bunch of bullshit after that as well, you know, and that's going to be annoying because there's a way to do this document in the correct way where you don't put all your fucking perspectives and opinions in it necessarily, or if you do, you make it clear that's the case, in my opinion, but other than that, it should just be fucking pure factual shit and stating what you've got, you know? So let's continue on. Where's the evidence of TwoMad trying to murder him? Well, hopefully that comes later. That comes later. We will see. TwoMad had been reckless with drugs that would make him aggressive and fearless while making him unable to remember anything that happened while he was in a psychotic state. He went as far as taking large amounts of Xanax on multiple occasions. Okay, can we get this out of the way now? Okay. Obviously, I completely unironically disavow TwoMad's actions. Okay. But yes, he was obviously a funny guy in the way that he acted. Even if he was a complete and utter psycho, I can't help but laugh at some of the stuff I'm going to read. So just be prepared for that, all right? He went as far as taking a large amount of Xanax on multiple occasions and had gone to hospital after talking about how he's very likely to pull McSkillet while high. What? Why is a McSkillet?
I'm still like madly infatuated with this fucking bitch.
Why?
Because it's like I touched her that one time and then she sued me.
Bro. Dude, it's, oh god, it's fucking, he sounds grotesque, dude.
And that's why I must get my ultimate revenge.
Ultimate revenge.
Yeah, a lot of people like to scare themselves into thinking I'm like a harmless person. I could be, right? But and it's worthwhile do your due diligence to make sure that doesn't happen. But I think what's more, if I go into schizo mode for real, what's more likely is I'm going to do a mixed skillet or like getting a bunch of crimes before I go and commit murder.
I try to avoid that.
I definitely try to avoid that, 100%.
That's good. That's good.
It's not the first time that like.
What? Yeah, he sounds fucking unhinged, obviously. What even is a McSkillet? Anyway, again, like I'd say, we can have a laugh about that. You and I can laugh about that, okay? And have a bit of fun with it. But if you were the target of someone's harassment and you heard them saying things like that about you, I think you would rightly, again, be freaked out. No, McSkillet drove his car over the speed limit against traffic and killed 2 people in 2018. Huh? Oh, okay. Right, okay. Is it funny? Yes. But, I mean, again, that's a pretty... It sounds pretty threatening, doesn't it? Right? I mean, yeah, to be fair, it is in his name. He literally called himself TwoMad. He wasn't really hiding it, was he? TwoMad had openly and privately talked about his deep hatred towards me and other witnesses involved in his civil and criminal cases. On Xmas Eve, he openly addressed how there are people he wants to kill but are so far away. That day, he was told that he might end up becoming fearless and reckless enough to kill someone in psychosis. TwoMad took even more Xanax despite the warning. Dude, it sounds based. He was administered to a hospital and was discharged the same week. He's just Floyd maxing. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, other than the fentanyl thing, what should I worry about?
Getting addicted, because it's pretty easy to get addicted to quickly. Doing something really fucking crazy that you would have never done otherwise. Probably hurting someone because you're fearless enough to go do that.
What the fuck?
Yeah. People, if you have like any like deep like you hate somebody feelings and you want to fucking kill them, you might kill them on Xanax. Like it's
but they're so far away. It's like impossible. Like how would I get there? But no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. There's other shit.
I should be okay then, actually. I'm gonna take a fuck ton of this shit, though.
Right, don't do that. All right.
I can't help but feel that these people, like, this is Kankelmore, right? Kankelmore, and obviously Gokanaru and Turkey Tom spoke to him too. Not to say that these guys did anything wrong necessarily. I mean, that's just the nature of the internet. You got a big creator that wants to come on and talk. You're going to talk to them. But like, none of these people are equipped to actually deal with TwoMad, because he isn't just some fucking lolcow guy that's just fucking. He had like deep-seated problems and was off his head on numerous drugs at multiple times. You know, it's like, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have done it, but like, Jesus, man. I mean, this guy clearly was not something that you could deal with a YouTube conversation. You know, he needed to be in a fucking psychiatric ward or something, probably, you know?
I'm gonna take that half. And see what happens.
No, I wouldn't hang
Is it
up.
half a one?
Are you serious? I'd be pumping the content out, left, right, and center.
I'll show you a photo.
Photo?
Yeah.
All right.
It's just funny because, I mean, none of this, you know, all I'm saying is content-wise, it's good. But in terms of actually TwoMad getting help, yeah, he should have, like, he should have been, I've got a big belief in the usage of institutionalizing people, okay? I think that if someone is sufficiently mentally ill, even against their will, they should be like restrained in a mental health institute. Not like a prison thing. I mean, it would be a bit like prison, I guess, but not in like a harsh way. It would be ideally like well kept, well provided facilities where you're comfortable and you've got access to entertainment and stuff like that. You know, I'm not talking about like a prison cell. It would be like a nice room, nice bed, TV. What if that's allowed? If you can have that. If you're too psychotic or whatever, maybe not. But yeah, people should be fucking kept away and helped to get better. You know, and if not, you know, you got the old lobotomy. You know, you always got that option. Bring the lobotomy back, I say. TwoMad have repeatedly talked about not being able to recollect the actions and crimes he's committed, often changing his stories and theories. He claimed he was unable to recall if he took drugs on days when incidents occurred because he would frequently black out, yet he could remember whenever his drugs were missing.
Were there ever times when you would take ketamine and you just pass the fuck out and you don't even like remember? You get like a ketamine blackout?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Do you think that could like affect like how they would see
your recollection
case, as
of...
far as like your recollection and like
Yeah.
you know, are you a reliable narrator? Like she's mentally ill maybe, but you're doing ketamine all the time and having blackouts?
Yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't blacking out that day. I blacked out in like the past. What ketamine did that day, if I was on ketamine, which is very possible.
If you were.
You should definitely try to know.
It was like
for
a
sure
woozy
if
thing.
that was the case.
Again?
You should try to know for sure if that was the case. If you would have
Okay,
like
yeah.
some kind of like altering substance.
Well, I mean, I
on
just
that
side
day.
with like, yes, I was, for the most part.
Okay. All right.
Dude, I don't understand how you can take ketamine and then just go about your business. It is like it's a party to me. It's a party thing. You go to a party and you take some and you spaz out for a while, you know. But like, what this guy was like. I mean, dude, have you seen the messages recently for my little escapades recently? Right, I fucking couldn't do anything. I posted in my Discord and it was just me saying I'm a content creator a bunch of times and some other shit, and I took every ounce of my effort to do it. And yeah, obviously, like I can't remember stuff that was happened. You know, like you were watching a movie and you just forget the movie. You forget every part of it and you don't remember it particularly well, you know? So trying to, yeah, of course you're going to have memory problems doing it. And if you're trying to go about your day-to-day life while taking it, I just don't even see how that's impossible.
When you basically like pointed the BB at her, was that like you were on ketamine type of thing?
Yeah, I may have been on ketamine that day. I think I was, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay, here's the question is like, you know how if you keep taking diazepines, they you build a tolerance, right? And they don't work as well as they used to.
Yeah, that's the fastest building fucking tolerance I've ever dealt with.
Yeah, that's a problem for me because I wanted to try it like twice, but the first time I tried it, I took a pretty normal dose, and then when I came back, the entire bag of Xanax was gone. So I'm like, what the fuck? I looked everywhere for it. It's just like, nah, this nigga is like, he took it all. I feel fine. Not really, but I'm like, okay.
You took all of it?
It was like 20 bars.
When?
Yesterday.
Damn. Jesus Christ.
Xanax never really worked on me the same way it does for others. I feel like I know some people say 1 bar is enough or whatever.
1 bar is too much for me at the moment. But I also probably wouldn't be fucked up of a football at the moment. Like right now, I haven't taken them in a while. It's been like 2 years.
That's the nice thing about having money is you can get more if you don't spam your dealer, of course.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm actually so far, I'm actually now feeling a bit more sympathy for TwoMad in that you clearly had a massive drug problem too. Fuck me, man. Anyway, there's a lot to get through, so let's try and push through some of this. In early December of 2023, TwoMad reached out to the victim's mutual acquaintances, offering large sums of money in exchange for a work address. As a result, the victim had to quit out of fear for her safety and her co-worker's safety.
Whatever the fuck, you should do that. We need to figure out where it works is the answer to the question.
I don't think it's possible. Why I don't think you should just have any connection with them.
Okay, the voice thing was a bit amateur, but yeah, I mean, you know, I think the TwoMad harassed her, and I said as much when I first covered this. Well, when was it this happened? This was like middle of last year or something, wasn't it? You know, yeah, it was very clear, obvious harassment that he was engaged in. So this is just another strand to the harassment, which is fucked up, obviously. The constant threats and harassment TwoMad brought resulted in the victim having to go on academic leave after he threatened to show up while posting where she was going to school. The school professors have been aware of TwoMad's previous aggravated stalking in 2022 towards a sexual assault victim, which caused the victim to fail classes due to the stress caused. Are these two different people then? Wait, what? There were emails from 2022 sent by the victim to her teachers explaining why she was falling behind in class, citing the reason was because of the stress of being stalked and assaulted. In private, TwoMad's friends told him on various occasions They were not going to give him the victim's work address. So when TwoMad briefly stopped pestering him about it, this conversation happened.
So you've dropped you've dropped the harassment idea.
Oh, I'm gonna fucking kill this bitch. Are you stupid? No, I mean, I don't mean to say stupid. What? What do you mean? Come on! I understand that you're in the end game of life when you've just begun, and you don't have any anger towards anyone ever. But like, you have to understand, I'm not fucking married like you.
I mean, that's crazy. Like, I mean, it's just like totally indefensible shit, isn't it? Like, you cannot fucking, you know, people that, I mean, I don't know if people are defending that in any way, but you know, what is it? It reminds you of I hate to do a Simpsons reference, but the early episodes were good. Okay, it's when Sideshow Bob has got "Die Bart Die" tattooed on his chest, and someone goes, "Wait, what does that mean?" And he goes, "Oh no, you don't understand. It's German. It means the Bart, the." It's like, dude, this guy was. I mean, again, I don't know how many times I'm gonna say it. Obvious psychotic freak stalking and harassing this woman. I mean, the harassment thing, and yes, I mean, if this is, you know, stalking probably too. Yeah, sure. I think stalking is probably fair to say as well. I was sold 100% on the harassment, but stalking too, sure. There's probably some elements of that too. So from her perspective, totally reasonable that she'd be freaked out and would want a restraining order. Now, but does that make him an attempted murderer? Well, to me, attempted murder is when you take an action to try and kill someone, not just saying you're going to do it, right? As fucked up as that is. So, oh, that's been deleted. Well, people keep saying this about Lyrics. What has Lyrics said exactly? Because I can't imagine Lyrics would be defending shit like this. That's crazy. Like, you have to accept that he was harassing and stalking too, I would say, this woman. I don't think that's up for debate anymore, you know? But certainly the rapist thing, that's arguable. You could debate that. I would side more with the idea that he probably did do something to her, but I can understand having a different perspective on that at least. But I think you can argue that someone might call him a rapist, and that's not completely out the realms of possibility. But like the attempted murder and the pedophile shit, that is the stuff that I'm like, well, I need to see proof of that. And if you've got anything to back up the sexual assault thing, obviously we can look at that too. Right, let's continue. TwoMad has found the home addresses of several victims, as well as the family address of one of his victims. He'd make threats about it and would send packages to the family house mentioned above. He doxed one of the victims on numerous occasions on Twitter. In addition, he wouldn't stop posting a full name photo, work store name, and school location. In order to protect the identity of his victims, I'll only share public tweets referencing him wanting to put the information on YouTube. Well, you could redact the stuff just so we can see the actual structure of the doxing text without seeing the actual docs, but... Will dox too. Can I get banned on YouTube for posting full name, entitled thumbnail, and gay bars? Try and find out. It's gonna get reposted like crazy anyway. Lawsuit went nowhere. I got doxed and outed as weird. I have to go to work now and live with this. I don't know if it was worth it overall because he still has a career somehow. Okay. TwoMad stalking wasn't limited to in-person stalking. Wait a second. Hang on. Wait. I'm genuinely asking, is there evidence that TwoMad stalked someone in real life? Is there anything to back that up? Because I thought it was all online shit, online harassment, online stalking, right? It feels like he's saying, well, it wasn't just limited to this, and it's like he's not shown that yet, right? He's supposed to have gone to the girl's workplace. I vaguely remember that. I vaguely remember that. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't really think he's shown anything that demonstrates he was stalking in real life. But anyway. TwoMad made countless accounts to stalk his victims online. The Superior Justice Court explicitly ordered TwoMad not to make alternative accounts to stalk his victims, which he immediately violated. Here's a tweet referencing him being caught. What the fuck? Lawyers are really good at research. I still ain't settling. Also, bitch, you get like 20 views on your stories. That's where you found my ult. Ha ha ha, no. Here's him talking about the victim's Instagram story. He was actively stalking every single post from her by using new alt accounts after being blocked many times over. I feel like my Starbucks job needs more gays. Jesus, man. Dude. Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, this is yet more evident. Like, this is like, I just want people to say, yes, this is like stalking, online stalking and harassment, okay? As long as we can agree with that, I think we're pretty much Gucci. And we can also agree that a lot of this stuff is stated without evidence and has got stuff that's like excessive and whatever. And Jameskii's clearly very biased. But like, this is psychotic behavior that is going to freak anyone out, okay? You cannot fucking deny that. I feel like my Starbucks job needs more gays, in an undertone, seemingly but probably not forced, guy voice coming from tiny girl who uses I'm mentally ill. And my job is don't give a fuck about it sucking my soul out of my body. I'm counting like the clock down when work makes me want to quit, but it's hard to find a new job. Yeah, exactly. That's my kind of perspective too. It's like, okay, so you said he's a rapist conclusively. Let's see some proof of that. You said he's a pedophile. Let's see some proof of that. And let's see some proof of this attempted murder that you're claiming, right? Those are the things that I'm looking for here. That's the claims he's made that I'm like, right, that's what you've got to back up here, right? Because I'm sure there's some people that would downplay what he did, right? But fundamentally, I think it's broadly agreed that he was a psychotic freak that was harassing and stalking this person online. I think that is kind of largely agreed upon by everyone, right? Unfortunately, he is very funny. So that, and I said before about this, right? Funny people get away with more. If you're funny, you are going to get away with more shit. That's just the way it is. Not that you should, but you just do. Now deleted tweet with photos of the victim who was actively stalking. Okay. Why are these not archived? Why the fuck aren't these archived? What the fuck is that about? TwoMad owns that mouth. The blah 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 thing she did when I took her virginity was crazy and swallowed. Look at that gigantic scribble in the description, so calculated and cringe. Dressing up in Halloween costume before Halloween, self-reporting you don't like your moron friends. The post in question included multiple photographs of the victim as she just posted on Instagram. Jesus Christ. Prior and during the active civil cases, TwoMad went out of his way to stalk witnesses and his victims in person again. During TwitchCon Vegas, TwoMad made ominous threats towards me and the public. To my knowledge, he didn't explicitly make a public statement that he planned to shoot up the convention center, and I have no idea where this rumor originates. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I think it was other people that said that he was going to shoot up the convention center. Why does this come across like Jameskii was obsessed with everything TwoMad did? Well, here's the thing. I think two things could be true in this situation. Okay? I think there could well be some grounding for Jameskii being scared of this guy. Okay? I think that could well be true. But on top of that, I also think it's true that he fucking hated TwoMad for a previous drama. And unfortunately, he was unable to separate himself from his personal bias. And it meant that every time he's talked about this, and even in this document, it is heavily weighted towards his kind of bias against TwoMad. Do you see what I mean? So, yeah, Could be that he was freaked out by him, but on top of that, you definitely fucking hated the guy. And a lot of how you've dealt with this make it clear that it's not just I'm worried about this guy, it's I fucking hate this guy, and you wanted to get the boot in every single possible way that you could, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, smoking salmon. Yeah, exactly. TwoMad was insane. Yeah, of course. Right? But Jameskii couldn't separate out his own personal hatred for him from a previous drama where TwoMad exposed him for being Russian or whatever the fuck it was, and it has had a massive influence on all the ways that he's dealt with this. However, he did make numerous concerning threats, some of which directly referenced me and other people he had a deadly grudge against. The convention centre was the public, and the public were aware of the threats before I had a chance to speak to any first responders. When the threats began, I was told to urgently talk to people at Central Station, where they acknowledged that the sheriff and convention were already aware of the situation. According to investigation, TwoMad was actively looking for me specifically, but implied that others would be affected using me as the reason. The investigation also determined that he was in a state of psychosis during his last live stream before going to Las Vegas, and that he talked to himself saying things like this.
If you just keep asking, they'll give it to you. Like, well, I already apologized. I said, I'm doing that shit again. I'm gonna get fucking killed by, like, some person. Like, they're gonna be like, I hate this guy. Like, some person, like, that shit again. I'm gonna get fucking killed by, like, some person. Like, they're gonna be like, I hate this guy.
I'm gonna get killed, he said, didn't he?
Fuck! No, I didn't. What?
Okay, I mean, he said, I'm going to get killed in that clip. Is he talking to chat, maybe?
Bullshit! Fucking kill me! No, I don't mean to be mean, but, like, I have a thing against, like, women. What? Facts, bro. That's true, though, like, for real. Nobody asked type shit. Kill. Mario! Kill? Who? You know. Bro, no. Fucking lawyers would say anything. No, I'm going to jail now.
Bro, this guy. Okay. Why is Jameskii like this, man? This is a very dishonest presentation of the clips. I mean, yeah, he could have been in a state of psychosis, perhaps, but I mean, he's not, you know. So again, I mean, it's the same take because I think this is the take. This is the take about this. To me and to you sat there, you're like, oh, come on, he's fucking talking about the game in that clip, say, right? But if you're someone who's been at the end of his harassment, yeah, you're probably going to be freaked out by that. But it doesn't, yeah, like your view on it is fair to protect yourself, but it doesn't mean that you can conclude anything beyond you want to be cautious with this guy because he's sounding off like a freak and he's harassed you already, you know? Here we go. Public Twitter quotes. I will take you down with me, everything I can to get back up before you do, and I'll do everything I can to shape up so karma never catches me, the ultimate revenge. I'm going to watch it after the H3 debate. I'm watching after this. Also, what's with people who are vulnerable to masses hating them fucking with the one guy who has a chip on his shoulder to really trying to do some damage to you with zero remorse in the most creative way possible? I'm not an easy opponent. Why would you fuck with someone like me and expect it not to backfire publicly? Jameskii, stop using this girl or you'll regret it. The good news is I won't kill myself like Etika. I will permeate Ethiopian magnificence like fucking Obunga. I didn't know what racism is. You get one life, and you're going to be looking back mad as hell for all the things you didn't do because you cared what people who don't care about you think. I've waited lifetimes to find you. This is my final I love you. No, he went oddly quiet after the series of threats. The threats resemble the trope of mass shooters' final social media posts. I mean, he sounds fucking insane. But again, like, does it though? I don't think I would characterize it like this. The trope of mass shooters final. Again, that's just your fucking opinion. And also, I don't know if these are threats. These sound like the incoherent ramblings of a psychotic freak on drugs. So stupid, man. TwoMad's deadly obsession with me was only getting worse over the years, to the point where I'd sometimes slip and say my name out loud for no reasons, even during live streams.
Avoid controversy, challenge impossible. 5 Nights at Jameskii, 5 Nights at Hitler. Avoid controversy, challenge impossible. 5 Nights at Jameskii, 5 Nights at Hitler.
5 Nights at Jameskii. 5 Nights at Jameskii, 5 Nights at that guy's name. Yeah, I mean, I think that's, to me, that's him saying you're as bad as, in his mind, you're as bad as him, right? Exactly, yeah. He's saying that he's, I could say Hitler. I'm going to say Hitler if I get banned for that. Yeah, he's basically saying Jameski's as bad as Hitler, right? That's what it comes across like to me. But I don't think that's a deadly obsession. You know, this is not a deadly obsession. Like, everything is characterized in the most extreme way. Like, he's just saying your name because he hates you and wants to make it sound like you're Hitler. That's the whole point of saying that, right? I don't think it's a deadly obsession. Like, if I was maybe, you know, there could be something that I find where I'm going to be like, okay, Jameskii was more reasonable to be threatened for his life or something, right? The woman, yeah, I get it. I totally understand. She's freaked out. Based on his actions, it's reasonable for her to assume that there was some risk or threat to her. Totally agree with the restraining order thing, okay? But with Jameskii, I'm like, I think you're looking too much into things to think that your life is in threat so far. And I do not think so far we've seen any evidence of attempted murder. But let's continue nonetheless. There was a rapid police response, and I was told that my house was unsafe. As a result, we were forced to avoid the home area, and my friends who stayed with me at the time had to look for different places to spend the night. None of us could go home. Police sent extra patrol to my house. And the following days, the convention centre was surrounded by idling police SUVs. Also, the other thing as well is, do you know someone that didn't take these threats seriously? Do you know there's a person who didn't take the threats very seriously? And that person was Jameskii, because they went to fucking TwitchCon, okay? And if you thought that someone was genuinely coming to fucking kill you at TwitchCon, okay, I fucking doubt that you would go if you thought it was a super credible fucking threat. I fucking wouldn't go somewhere like that if I thought someone was gunning to kill me, you know? Like, that's crazy. So, you know, not to say that he wasn't maybe a bit concerned about it, but like this narrative that there was this deadly obsession and he was gunning to kill him, I just don't think has got much evidence on Jameskii's part. And this, what's this?
Okay,
Say my group and I were staying with James and we had to find another lodging.
Money off depressed people.
Hey, Extreme Dad, thanks for the $2. This whole situation has been a disaster for a long time. That doesn't prove anything. What? This doesn't show anything to back up what he's saying. The convention centre itself had increased security and we saw more officers patrolling the premises. There were public references to this on Twitter. I was aware of police being involved over threats made around TwitchCon, but wasn't expecting it to be this bad. Sucks that the victims Won't be able to get true justice since TwoMad decided to overdose. But at least this could be a time of healing for those involved in the incident. Fucking hell, man. A little bit rich. We were told to not bring up the situation to the public, and I was put in touch with counter-terrorism unit via direct line during the incident. I spent hours of my time with the police that evening and night. Let me know how cops go. Yep, with police right now. 6:20 a.m. Still dealing with this. Still with police. During that night, the authorities deemed it was necessary to shelter me at a remote location to ensure my safety. I was allowed to leave the custody at around 6:30 a.m. Prior to that, I was housed with multiple friends and creators who referenced it on Twitter. Okay, yeah, it feels like he's stitching together whatever strings he can find to craft this narrative that he's trying to craft, which, yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing what he's trying to present to me having any substance, you know? What are these tweets? This is a lot, yeah. But yeah, I witnessed firsthand TwoMad's threats on James's life during TwitchCon. He couldn't even go home because he knew his address and was en route to Vegas after threats. He had to use a hotel room to hide out while waiting for law enforcement. Can back this up too. He was scared for his life at the partner lounge during TwitchCon Vegas and talked to security at the event because threats made towards him. No, the talk to security was after the counter-terrorism unit got involved. The talk was only to notify the active patrol that I was the person being protected as they'd seen my photo. I've also witnessed the attempts on Jameskii's life during TwitchCon. What? Hang on a sec. Was TwoMad even at TwitchCon? Wait, did he actually go to TwitchCon? Because attempts on Jameskii's life. That would, when you say attempt on someone's life, that means I witnessed someone try to kill someone. No? What? Vegas, last year's. Police were involved and he was afraid for his life. I stayed with him for a couple of hours just to make sure he felt safe. I feel like this is like a misspeak or a mistake or Tectone saying it wrong, because an attempt on someone's life is someone tries to actually kill you. Not like, oh, someone just threatened. Like, saying I'm going to kill you is different to pulling out a gun and shooting at them, right? So yeah, unless there's something beyond this, I'm not really seeing how this is like attempted murder. This is more just threats, you know, possible threats. But he's not really shown any hard threats in Jameskii that I would be like, yeah, this is a definitive threat on his life. Like, look, if Jameskii wanted to feel perturbed and bothered and concerned and in a bit of possible danger, I'd accept that. But he's painting it in this way like he was at risk of like an attempted murder, which I just do not think is true. And none of the evidence here backs it up, right? So, you know, it feels like he got involved in something. He had his own bias with TwoMad. And then on top of that as well, you know, he wanted to feel like an important character in this. So he's overstated his role to beef it up beyond what it actually was. And now he's stitching together whatever things he can to make it seem more substantial than it truly is. That is my view so far on this. That's what I'm getting from this whole document. It's worth noting that during TwoMad's psychosis, he messaged nearly every person he had contact with to inquire about people's location. Since he was banned on Twitch, he offered to pay large sums of cash to swap badges to enter the premises without being caught. $257 and only if I find adept. Yeah, if you attempted to kill someone with witnesses, that would be a fucking arrest. You get arrested for that, easy. Like, what? And also, everyone will be talking about it. Oh my god, TwoMad turned up at fucking TwitchCon and tried to shoot Jameskii. That never fucking happened. Yo, meet me at TwitchCon. Also, do you know anyone else there? Like, literally anyone there at all. Doesn't matter who. Also, separate question. Can you help me find someone with a Twitch entry badge that I can borrow just to get in? $257 and only if I find adept. I mean, maybe let him in for a little bit. Just let him in for an hour. Just let him in for an hour, okay? I had to wait for a while to be updated on whether it was safe to return home, and I spent most of my time at a friend group's Airbnb the next day. The investigation found that TwoMad did not use his primary legally registered Tesla with a real license plate to enter Nevada. The investigation was aware he had two nearly identical Teslas, one of which was bought by private sale and wasn't registered to his name, making it more challenging to track down TwoMad. However, I've been told after... So what is... Again, any proof of any of that shit? However, I've been told after TwoMad realised the level of police response to his actions, he decided to drive back home and make ominous paranoid posts with various threats at the end. Like, this sounds crazy. So you're telling me that... So what this sounds like is, well, we don't have proof that he was actually in Nevada, but I'm going to come up with this story and not provide evidence of it to make it seem like he was. Right? Am I missing anything here? Prove you give a single one fuck about life. Let it go. You're in control. You're aware. This is urgent. You have a responsibility and get the fuck out of my life forever or you regret it for the rest of your life. Jameskii have a hand in this too, possibly more than she does. Restraining orders can kill. Holy fuck, today was wild. Probably the most crazy day of my life, hands down. Holy shit, I'm going to take your breath away. Like, I admit, I could be wrong about this. I could be totally wrong about this. Maybe there's some other evidence I'm about to see or is available somewhere that I'm not aware of. I could be wrong about this. But what it sounds like to me is that TwoMad didn't go to TwitchCon, but he was schizo posting about it to make it seem like he was, to freak people out. That's what it comes across like to me. So it's still a shitty thing to do. It's still like bad on TwoMad's part to have done that, but I don't think that's attempted murder, right? That's my kind of basic take on this. Just do you reckon they'd have someone stand at the TwitchCon door and try to swap my friend's badge off me if they caught me? I wouldn't let them take it and just leave with the badge, and I'd just try again at most sporadic times. They'd probably lawyer up, even if I have a 5% chance of winning, might get a judge who agrees with me. Yeah, so that's my kind of, rough thought on that. That's what it seems like. While a separate restraining order technically protected me against TwoMad as I was a witness in that case. Yes, Jameskii's exaggerating it. You don't need to say I don't think it's factually not attempted murder. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, I always, based on the information provided, there's nothing here to prove attempted murder. That sounds insane. Attempted murder is something where you actually try to kill someone, and Jameskii stating he's an attempted murderer seems excessive to me. We're really fucking excessive and overstating the story. Freaked out. TwoMad was acting erratically. Made it seem like he was going to come to TwitchCon. I was concerned he might cause harm to me and others. If he was there, sure, that's cool. We can talk about that. But attempted murder, based on what we've got, is an insane claim. But yeah. The authorities told me to obtain a separate personal one from my state ASAP. Having a personal restraining order from the state, I live in granted high protection and response time in the case of TwoMad showing up to harm me. It would explicitly define the places he could not visit, such as my work, home, or areas I frequent. I filed a petition referencing the TwitchCon incident and TwoMad not surrendering his firearms, as well as a valid reason to fear for my life, primarily due to false swatting calls in the past. Swatting will be brought up during one of the hearings later. It's important to note that TwoMad's possession of real firearms was fully confirmed at the time, as well as the fact that he wouldn't surrender them. I was told to include the information in the petition by the investigation and was advised to attach all public photographs to TwoMad with what's supposed to be real firearms. Like, what is the... While TwoMad had used real firearms in a malicious way in the past, during a TwitchCon incident, TwoMad had directly threatened to use a firearm, and the counter-terrorism unit told me to check the box clarifying that. It's like, what is the point of all of this? This is just, this is like main character syndrome. Protection orders aren't given out lightly by the court, so the case was scheduled. TwoMad attempted to avoid the court summons service, but was tricked into coming outside by a professional who provided TwoMad with the necessary paperwork he needed for the hearing. Well, I think he had to check no here because he didn't actually threaten a firearm in this incident, right? During the protection order hearing, upon discovering the information from the investigation, the court granted a full protection order for the longest term allowed by the legal code, with the ability to request the extension before the expiration date. The court finds that stalking, aggravated stalking, and/or harassment has occurred. What is this? This is just a list of crimes. Oh, he's providing a source to what the right. Violation of the protective order that was granted to me results in a Category C felony. That didn't stop TwoMad later, so he was on the hook for it. If he wasn't the first or last time, he had to look for me as victims. Like, it's so frustrating because, you know, in Jameskii's original tweet, he said he's a rapist, pedophile, and attempted murderer. Nothing about his stalking or harassment, right? All he's all he's proved. I mean, he doesn't even need all of this for me to get on board with the idea that he harassed and stalked people, right? That's enough. I'm there already. So it feels like I already believe that, and a lot of this document, when he's making other claims like this attempted murder thing, it's just being backed up for me as like, yeah, he was a schizo harasser guy. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, where's the other stuff that you said? So far, it's nowhere to be found. But let's continue. Okay, here we go. TwoMad had committed numerous sexual assaults, including intercourse. Well, this is new. By legal, I'm only aware of the one allegation of sexual assault against that Goldie Bell person. By legal definition in California, rape is categorized under the sexual assault offense. He was supposed to be arrested by the authorities and prosecuted by the DA for several crimes, but his passing happened before they were able to do so. He was supposed to be arrested by the authorities and prosecuted by the DA for several crimes. Well, I would have thought there'd be plenty of evidence for that. There'd be some documents or something you'd be able to access to show, surely. But none. I mean, so what? I am immediately skeptical of this. This kind of like, oh, he was on the precipice of getting arrested for all these crimes, but he died. But if you're going to make this claim, right? Like, can we see something? At least, I don't know. What the fuck is this? TwoMad was under investigation for a very long time before his passing, including before the primary restraining order case hearings. To be very clear, the criminal cases involving TwoMad are completely separate from the civil ones. The permanent restraining order. So the restraining order stuff did happen. Okay. Criminal prosecution for the multiple felonies by the government handled by the authorities. The next page better be some documents to prove this investigation or something. I better be seeing that the very next thing, or Jameskii's done for, okay? let's just say, okay, if Jamesy's not going to provide any proof of what he's claiming here, the ghost of TwoMad isn't the only thing he's going to have to be worried about, all right? That being said, violating a civil restraining order is a criminal offence. The government handled the visual evidence for SA in a separate criminal case. The civil restraining order only included the information necessary to protect the victim, not prosecute TwoMad. Wait a second, though. If you're trying to file a restraining order against someone and you have got some sort of evidence that they raped them, although you're not trying to prosecute TwoMad for rape, why would you not include that in the protection order? No? I mean, I'm not an expert, but like, surely you would provide whatever proof you've got, because that would only bolster the claim. Well, they also raped me, and here's some sort of evidence for that. So therefore, the protection order is more necessary than without that information. Okay, that seems a little bit skeptical. I'm a little bit skeptical of that. But anyway, let's continue. The authorities don't casually give out information about criminal investigations to strangers, let alone provide the public with sensitive evidence submitted by the victims. However, the DA had access to large amounts of proof of TwoMad's doings, including videos. TwoMad had secret... What? Dude! Okay, we've entered... Okay, this stuff, I need something more than your word for this. TwoMad had secretly recorded of him committing some of the crimes against his victims, including SA. By February, the investigation had access to everything necessary for the prosecution, and it was just a matter of putting the paperwork together and issuing the arrest warrant against TwoMad. Right. Okay. There were no lawsuits at any point. TwoMad and his friends fabricated a lie to slander the names of the people he's hurt. At no point during the 6-month period has TwoMad been able to provide any evidence to support his made-up claims. Okay, I'm just going to completely dismiss all that without any, dude, these are big claims that you're making about a dead man. And I know some people don't care because he's dead now, right? But I personally think that, getting labeled as a multiple rapist and pedophile by this guy is crazy. And I think that you shouldn't have to live with, well, see, I can't help myself, can I? Right? You shouldn't have to be, have your memory put that upon you without any proof or evidence or any testimony, like pedophilia shit. There's no testimony about that. It's crazy. And this guy's just fucking saying it so plainly without anything to back it up. TwoMad used the illusory truth tactic and claimed there's a lawsuit over and over in order to make his fans parrot what he's saying, even though they're incorrect. Many people are not qualified to accurately discuss legal documents. Yo! Is that a Henry Resilient reference? Yo, is that Henry getting called out? Yo! Really? Is Henry Resilient getting called out here? I think that's about Henry Resilient. And they have no idea what they're talking about and don't put effort into actual research before presenting their opinions as facts to the unaware. Dude, you have done that through this whole document. You have repeatedly presented your own opinion as facts. God, this guy's full of it. I witnessed a concerning number of fabricated stories based on carefully picked bits of information to make their versions seem legit. This is extremely dangerous and has caused issues for real-world investigations. Wait, what? How can Henry's YouTube videos be causing issues for real-world investigations? If the courts were that bothered about the documents that Henry gets access to causing real world issues, they wouldn't fucking make them public in the first place, would they? Like, dude, this is so stupid. Timeline of the notable legal events involving one of the restraining orders. At the beginning of July, the court issued a restraining order against TwoMad. The whole point was only to protect the person who was trying to physically hurt. I want to make it clear the order was in full effect and was just simply not permanent. The hearing to convert this order into a permanent order was scheduled 3 weeks in advance, giving TwoMad a substantial amount of time to prepare. A court hearing is scheduled on the request for the restraining orders against the person in two. TwoMad hired a criminal lawyer and not a civil one, criminal defense attorney. Could it be because he was worried about criminal proceedings? TwoMad maybe was worried about criminal proceedings, possibly. Is that reasonable that he might do that? Just get a criminal defense attorney because you might end up dealing with. I don't know. I don't know how it works exactly, but. Okay, I mean, I don't really know what to make of this. TwoMad could plead the fifth during the criminal proceedings for his crimes, including SA. However, the testimonies from the civil cases can still be used against him. Thus, TwoMad's main objectives was to stall the civil case as much as possible to avoid the testimony and discoveries. The legal code allows either party to request a continuance during a hearing. During the first hearing, both we and the respondent agreed to a continuance. Usually, the restraining order hearings are postponed for no more than a few weeks, but it's entirely up to the judge. The judge gave a 2-month continuance, as in the order will still be in full effect, but the hearing regarding making it permanent was moved to the end of September. If I recall correctly, the date was chosen by TwoMad and his lawyer. We simply agreed to it due to respect and expectation that TwoMad would not try and make things worse. TwoMad used the entirety of every single continuance to play video games all day long. He live streamed himself playing Overwatch at least 44 times since the permanent restraining order case began. He's on the fucking ranked grind, clearly. Does that mean anything? Because my understanding is he had the restraining order and he broke the restraining order repeatedly. So he continued to harass this Goldie Bell person, right? But I don't know if he's not allowed to play video games. But anyway, I think maybe we're going to see some evidence of the thing. Threatened witnesses to do with his cases, including those who were to physically restrain him from hurting one of his victims in the past. TwoMad's closest friends at the time had to physically intervene to help the victim escape after TwoMad started chasing her. Once his friends helped the victim escape, TwoMad took a photo of them standing visibly disappointed to talk them after. You think in a few weeks, I mean... Wait, what? You think in a few weeks I'm going to forget about taking you down with me? Bro, even if you send the screenshot, I'm going to make sure your name, face, everything is on there, and that your video, even if it's taken down, will be uploaded so many times. F-slur, I disavow that word, obviously. Wake the fuck up, send screenshots to DJ Korea, already dead, we chillin', then no need to end you. Imagine a unit of that size and power accosting you. Intimidate more victims of his past predatory behaviour in order to prevent them from coming forward publicly and testifying in court. What the fuck, gamer? Retard, I'm not in love with you. Pick up phone. I'm not going to call you a million times. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction. Interesting, you always, no matter what, pick up and shit. But when I get cancelled, radio silence. Very mentally ill, just like her. Non-stop calls and threats to scare them. I mean, it feels like it's being stated in the harshest possible terms. But I mean, again, like it's almost like, okay, yes, I get it. He harassed this one person. He probably harassed other people too because he was fucking insane. I agree with that already. Like, I feel like I'm having it proven again and again and again what I already know and believe and agree with. But the other claims that he's made, There's none of that proof of anything of that in here. And he's just stitching together whatever he can to try and back up these claims that he made within 30 minutes of him dying. Do you see what I mean? He also intentionally violated his restraining order multiple times. The way he did it made each instance a felony, not a misdemeanor. As the multiple instances were separate and each one would count as its own felony in this context. A Category C felony is a felony...
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make
Hey,
money
Filthy
off
Frankenstein!
people?
Thanks for the gifted sub. Keep them coming, guys. Let's go. Let's get some kickers in here today. It wasn't limited to just this, and I'm scraping the tip of the iceberg from the court's perspective. Okay. I'm not reading that out. That's a clippable moment. So in this tweet, TwoMad is saying that he must find a young girl to entrap and sexually control. Okay? That's not me saying that, that's him. I mean, look. That comes across... I mean, look, I'm not expecting... Listen. That comes across like a joke more than an actual statement of intent, personally. Okay? That's the way that I'm looking at that. But anyway, the horrifying part is that he was doing all that while preying on new, unsuspecting victims, primarily targeting young girls and those who were unaware of his past. How did all this start for you guys? If you don't mind me asking, of course. We matched on Tinder in July of last year. Yeah, that's what happened with me. He got my Instagram from my Hinge profile. He also publicised himself doing a lot of it as well, both on live streams and social media. He didn't just... Hey, Nicholas, how's it going? Well, I'm hopeful that with all this information, TwoMad may finally get brought to justice. He also publicised himself doing a lot of it as well, both on live streams and social media. He didn't just do it online or over the phone exclusively. He even went as far as to meet some of the girls in person.
See, I get bitches. See?
Are they going to arrest this corpse? Listen. Do not put it past the American police. When it comes to black guys, there's nothing they won't do. I don't really see what the point of that was. There was no way to defend them, as all the public information about the restraining order cases was not coming out in real time. Moreover, and perhaps more importantly, there's a pending criminal investigation for very serious strike offences. As such, respondent is forced to invoke his Fifth Amendment rights and cannot proceed. Restrained party. TwoMad has lost his civil cases in full. He's also been a drug addict for years and didn't just start ketamine recently. You can easily find reference to it, alibis from his ex-friends, and an now-deleted video he published for his Patreon supporters. Bruh, by TwoMad gang. 13 minutes of me high on ketamine. I mean, I'm just wondering if there's a copy of that video somewhere, because I really, really want to see that. TwoMad created a false narrative to twist the entire situation, lying about everything for months. His facade was basically that his evil ex is... What the fuck is that? Is that a fly? Fuck off. His evil ex is just mad and is now suing him for money, despite the fact that the particular victim in question was never in a romantic relationship with him, and that they only knew each other for a short period of time. The bugs! The bugs! The bugs are on my skin again! Okay, so I think this, yeah. Because I'm pretty sure that she was like a sex worker, right? There's messages out there which demonstrate that she had a transaction with him rather than an actual proper sexual relationship, right? Huh? He was simply the delusional. The reality is TwoMad. The reality is that TwoMad is a physically violent sexual predator who went after the most vulnerable victims. What, dude? Bro! Timeline of notable legal events. I thought we were doing a timeline of notable legal events. Facts, data, screenshots, right? And then a couple of pages into this part, and he's calling him all his opinion about him. Well, I guess there's a separate section. He's put a line there. But dude, like, you've not proven this claim about TwoMad at all to me. God, Jameskii, and the thing is, this does matter. TwoMad is dead, okay? And I think that the pedo stuff and calling him crazy things is fucked when he's dead, even though he can't respond, that it doesn't really matter in that respect. But also, it's just like, yeah, this is still a fucked allegation document which hasn't got proof of the biggest claims that he's making, you know? He didn't even prove it wasn't a lawsuit. Yeah, true. I'm pretty sure there was a lawsuit because Henry Resilient got some court docs that had like a figure amount of money they were trying to get or something. No? But anyway, without getting too much into that, like, yeah, this is all... He should have just laid out... You know, if he'd have started a Look, if Jameskii had started a document and gone, listen, guys, I was very emotional and I did say things that I haven't really got proof for, okay? So I can't prove that he was these bad things I said, but here's some information to really demonstrate how bad the harassment was or something, right? I would be like, okay, that's fair. Cool. Admitting fault, putting out the information that shows without doubt he was harassing people and online stalking people, that's cool. But it's almost like he feels like he's painted himself into this corner. And then when you're looking at this, if you're looking for the things that he's claimed, they're not there because he's not got evidence for that. And he never had evidence for that. And now he's desperately trying to stitch together whatever he can to back up some of these claims that he's made. He didn't try to murder anyone, okay? He's not a pedophile. There's no proof he's a pedophile. And there's definitely no proof that TwoMad is a physically violent sexual predator who went after the most vulnerable victims. Okay? This is your perspective based on your very biased view on him. Anyway, continuing on. And he went out of his way to hurt them more, to silence them, leading to the victims seeking protection from him while the DA was preparing the paperwork. The prostitution was also entirely made up by TwoMad in an attempt to discredit the victim in the public eye. The investigation fully debunked it. Where? What did you do? Where? Wait, I thought... Okay. Where? Dude, this is fucking nuts. Including the fake messages he posted on Twitter that his fans took as gospel at the time, which is brought up again later this document. Okay, well, we'll wait for that. Also, there was literally no money involved as there wasn't a single lawsuit. He made all that up to poison his fans against the victim and attempt to save himself as the victim had more evidence against him. All of that was public records. Henry Resilient brought up a court document and showed it, though. Unlimited civil cases also include other types of disputes that do not involve money, like cases to resolve or quiet title to real property. Okay. This particular case is about a judge-signed court-issued restraining order. TwoMad can tell lies to his fans all he wants, but the factual information would always debunk it. Dude, it feels... This guy is like putting stuff out there that doesn't prove what he's trying to say it proves, and then going, well, here's the factual information to disprove it. And it's like, but you've not. Going back to the case timeline, right before September hearing, days before the scheduled date, the defense, aka TwoMad and his lawyer, said they would not proceed on the agreed Tuesday date, citing some nonsense excuses primarily related to sudden unavailability. Despite the fact they chose the date 2 months in advance. They attempted to push another continuance to avoid the hearing, but we didn't agree to it.
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make
Yeah, it looks. I mean, I don't know court
exact
stuff exactly, so I don't want to comment too much. But it doesn't feel like he's putting stuff out that proves what he's saying in the moment there, right? Thank you, Filthy Frankenstein, for the 5 gifted. That is exceptionally generous of you. Thank you very much. On September hearing date, TwoMad realised he would see his victims in person. He panicked and decided to hide in the courthouse's cafeteria on a different floor instead of showing up in the courtroom itself. While the hearing was supposed to take place, as everyone else was present, he was clowning on the court and the judge, trying to make a circus out of the whole situation. Once again, he did all that while hiding away as he was too afraid to look into the eyes of the people he had done irreparable damage to. Since everyone else was present, the hearing took place, during which it was brought up that TwoMad was purposefully making the victim's life a living hell, while simultaneously making a circus out of this. They also claim that they are unavailable, yet TwoMad showed up at the courthouse but not the courtroom itself. Watching Death Note to mentally prepare on the most effective way to make the bitch jump out of her skin in her apartment. Yeah, this is just riddled with opinions and stuff. Like, dude, this is so bad. TwoMad targeted the family house of one of his victims after posting this. Just this situation aside, TwoMad was actively making it difficult for his victims to come forward and testify, especially as the hearing dates would get closer. So glad she had the courage to share what happened, but yeesh, holy shit, dude, it's fucking mental and had all of us scared for her, literally caught in 4K. Just hopping on here to say, TwoMad is a piece of shit who assaulted my friend and stalked her, would not leave me alone and others my dear friend knew, and is a genuine danger to women he talks to and is proven by his behaviour. If you support him, never speak to me again, lol. Bro, he'll not leave me alone, calling there. I mean, yeah, again. No doubt that dude, it's just, dude. This is so annoying because nothing is being proven that I didn't already think in the first place, right? Like, what are we even looking at here? Like, stitched together bullshit to try and back up this claim he's an attempted murderer or that he's like a multiple rapist, as this guy's trying to claim. You never pop on YouTube and look at the live broadcast, really? That's annoying. I actually had a worse opinion. Yeah, in some ways, some of this is making me more sympathetic towards TwoMad because he clearly had like a lot of fucking crazy drug problems. Thank you for the sub, appreciate it. So it's actually having the opposite impact. Like, clearly he was a very fucked up, troubled person. Now, that doesn't mean that the woman involved should, like, think differently about it. She's within her rights to fucking hate the guy and want him a million miles away from her. That's totally reasonable. But from my perspective, I'm like, God, what a troubled, fucked up life this guy clearly had gotten himself into. Hopped up on drugs, you know, schizophrenically harassing women. Bad for the women, certainly, but like that doesn't, you know, it doesn't seem like it's coming from a place of him being this horrible predatory person. It's because he was like fucked in the head, from the sounds of it, at least, you know. Reason court date is rescheduled, pending criminal case. Oh. Okay, maybe there was a criminal case at some point, but anyway, both parties agree upon the chosen date, December 5th. The judge had also increased the distance TwoMad can't get near his victim. The judge deemed it necessary. We didn't request the increase. The court adds 100 yards. It's like fucking American football, it feels like. You do a rape, 10 yards back. Adds 100 yards to the stay away provision of the temporary restraining order. Once again, the restraining order was still in full effect, and rescheduled hearing was only made it permanent. Okay. Since it takes a moment for the public, some of it become accessible, TwoMad used an opportunity to weaponize and lie about the outcome, making it seem like he won a made-up lawsuit. According to TwoMad, the judge looked at it and threw it away. He claimed that the victim didn't show up, thus this added fuel to a false narrative, leading some fans to believe it initially without critically thinking about it. I mean, if you're someone who was unquestioningly believing the things that TwoMad was saying, you're a fucking retarded. Like, he's a drug-addled freak. Why on earth would you look at what TwoMad was saying and believe what he was saying? And also, it was in the midst of all this other crazed shit that he was talking about. Like, clearly TwoMad was not a reliable narrator in his own story here, right? And I remember when I saw how he was responding, what I came across like is like TwoMad was doing this kind of drunken master response, allegation response, where he was just schizoing out so no one could really grasp hold of him. And he would go on calls with commentary people and just act like a schizo and come across as funny. You know? Wait, I'm on the court case. They only got a restraining order, woo. They were asking for 25 to 50k in jail time and they only got a restraining order for me. And a safety, which means you cannot contact me or talk about it anymore. I've seen the 25k thing, a screenshot in Henry's video. So, why is he not addressing that? The guy who literally hiding in fear, looking into the eyes of his victim, was the only person in the courtroom for the hearing itself. So again, lots of heavily kind of biased language in this as well. You can sense the hate coming through from Jameskii. Notice that TwoMad isn't listed in the public record minute order document. He also intentionally violated the order, again with an hour, just to taunt his victim, which was once again a separate criminal instance. I have an active and enforceable restraining order in place that has been approved in full and signed by the judge against TwoMad. The hearing was rescheduled and that is all. It's a TRO petition, not a lawsuit. So yeah, this here is him breaching the restraining order, right? Like, responding to her on Twitter would be breach of the restraining order. The new hearing for the permanent order was scheduled, although surely, why haven't they, you would have blocked, surely they'd have blocked TwoMad, no? That's a bit of a fucking stupid thing to do. If you haven't blocked him, that's stupid. But anyway. The new hearing for the permanent order was scheduled on December 2023 to make the existing order permanent. TwoMad had several cases, but he would keep talking about this one in particular because he knew that the victim had the most evidence of him being a serial criminal and to derive the public's attention from everything else that was going on. Dude. And he just... God, this is so infuriating. The way he makes a claim and then doesn't back it up with anything. The whole point of this was to provide all the evidence. But a lot of this is just you saying something without backing it up. TwoMad was purposefully stalling out the victim's testimony because he knew that not only would the eyes of the law be aware of crucial details about his actions, but the public would also be able to see them. At the time, he knew if they continued dragging this out, it would hurt me financially. If I say remove lawsuit 30 times, will Jameskii remove lawsuit? What if I say trial can cost up to $500k, $1 million? I'm firing my lawyers, so Jameskii is the only one who keeps losing money, lol. He knew that if I couldn't afford to pay, I would not be able to shelter his victims in person away from him. Dude! What the fuck? So, just the most insane narrative on what is happening. And he would be able to create a different narrative to try and avoid the consequences in the public eye. Yeah, exactly. Making him sound like some kind of evil genius and the guy was just fried. Yeah, this ketamine-addled freak, psychotic freak, was some mastermind planning and plotting all this out. I wasn't just sat there spazzing out in his fucking chair. Happening to...
This is just kinda sounding racist on Jameskii.
Yo, racism allegation. Thank you for the 420. Just like fucking twitching from his K-hole, managing to type out with the force of his sheer will insane stuff on Twitter. Yeah, this guy's a total mastermind that's figuring it out this way. Give me a fucking break, man. Come on now. Obviously, he was just a psycho freak off his face on ketamine and Xanax. Throughout my experience with TwoMad, his actions cost me over 6 figures in damages over the span of 5 years. See, now he's bringing in the old drama. What happened 5 years ago got to do with this? This is so... He has got... This is so obvious evidence of he's got this axe to grind over this previous drama that he had with him. Why on earth would you bring up 5-year-old drama? What the fuck has that got to do with the current stuff? For this case alone, due to him personally making it complicated for everyone else, I had to sell my car so that I could afford to protect all his victims to begin with. Legal fees aren't cheap, and considering how much stuff he was involved with, he was trying to hurt me by any means necessary. Unsurprisingly, his actions put me under a financial burden I will address later. Whichever retarded fucking idiot keeps spam calling me with no caller ID talking about federal investigations and shit. Please do me a favour and find a door at McDonald's, order a McChicken, and then throw it up your asshole so far that you enjoy it more than you've ever enjoyed eating from your mouth. Yeah, like he's dropped this idea that there was multiple victims of TwoMad's predatory raping, and there's no proof of that. It's just him saying it. To give some perspective, according to him in the investigation, he spent at least 50k just to drag out this one particular case alone and planned to spend even more. Not the others combined, just for that one alone. Minus 150k in 2 years, lol. To no one's surprise, he lied to the public on many occasions and went to great lengths to manipulate the narrative, making it more believable to his fans, and confusing creators who haven't kept up with it. He would frequently say how much it cost him and imply that he was being sued for that exact amount. I could be wrong about this, but I remember when these allegations dropped against TwoMad, right? As you know, it felt like a lot of the internet was against him. Like, there were obviously people that were kind of like questioning and waiting for more information and whatever, but like, where his core, like maybe his core fan base might have defended him. But I think from what I recall, most people were looking at what TwoMad was doing and going, God, he looks so, he was acting like a psycho, right? Who were these people that were looking at what TwoMad was saying and going, yep, that sounds about right. Yeah, this guy sounds like he's perfectly sane and not on fucking level with things. I mean, if that's one of you, you're a retard. Okay, I'll say that much. But I think, yeah. Yeah, TwoMad was straight tweaking. And I'm supposed to believe he's planning it all out. Yeah. Everyone was just like, God, he's acting like a psycho. I think that was the broad perspective that everyone had on this. God, this guy's acting like a total nutter. So this idea, there were these core fans that were like hanging on his every word and believing everything he said. Yeah, right? It was 85% TwoMad is a freak and 50% what the heck is going on? There were some people, I'm sure. There's always crazy takes on Twitter. But most people, I think, were not in that camp of like listening to TwoMad and going, yep, that's definitely what happened, from what I recall. But I could be wrong. Anyway, let's continue. Bro, if I was confident where my money was going, why wouldn't I spend 50k for some fast food and loose charity for some girl with problems? Weird extortion, angry exaggeration, vindictive revenge lawsuit funded by grudge-holding mega loser. I mean, I would say 100% the grudge-holding mega loser. Yes, that is true. And you're proving it with this document. You are a grudge-holding mega loser. That is true. You've proven that with this fucking document. No money was ever requested, and everybody knew that, as everything was public records and would always showcase that TwoMad was lying. However, certain creators, that's Henry Resilient again, I think, were misled into believing TwoMad's narrative or purposely lied to their viewers to create a story. Does anyone know the timestamp to the court document with the monetary amount in Henry Resilient's video? During the times between this hearing and December, he continued to make the victims' and witnesses' lives a living hell, including mine. He constantly violated the restraining orders against them in multiple malicious ways, which realized to bring the issue to the court. Why didn't the victim go to the police? Again, the LAPD was extremely lazy at the time and wouldn't go with what was in their power. They almost never followed up on reports. Southern Californian police in general are notorious for their misconduct and for not doing anything in their power till it's too late. You can check the Wikipedia article. The section about the corruption and misconduct is half of the entire article. Yeah. 1920s to 1940s. 1950s. Guys, listen. I'm going to go ahead and say that in the 20s and the 40s, the LAPD were fucked. Okay? Right? Totally willing to accept that. 50s and 60s. Still quite fucked. Not as bad, but still quite fucked. 70s and 80s, we're kind of degrading on the fucked scale, but still pretty fucking bad. You know, Rodney King riots. Still bad after that, but that was a bit of a turning point, I think, and things started to improve a little bit from there. And then, obviously, more recently, I think it's gotten a lot better. But yeah, you know, and also the size of these things. Like back in the 20s, okay, right? A police officer could kill a black person and it wouldn't be a problem, right? No one would fucking care in the 20s, okay? It wouldn't be that big a deal. But in the fucking 2000s, you talk to a black guy the wrong way, and that becomes a massive controversy, right? So I just think that the fact it takes up a lot of space is not really a very good argument, right? Like, the point that you're going to need to make to me here is not just, oh, look how big the Wikipedia segment is. You know, show me with some sort of proof or evidence that demonstrates the LAPD weren't doing their job, right? Because all you've got is saying so and citing the Wikipedia article. That's fucking absurd. And that being said, to be clear, I think it's possible the police didn't do the right thing. The police are not infallible, and the police can fuck things up. What I hate is this kind of broad, oh, well, the police are shit, aren't they? Look at all these controversies. Well, no. Like, point out what the issue is and what happened with some substance, you know? There was even an instance where TwoMad made one of the victims flee as he was targeting their family house in real time. Initially, even though the situation was happening in the moment, the sheriff didn't want to take the report because the initial 911 call didn't come from that address. Rough illustration for an easier explanation. That's possible. You know, I know there are sometimes these kind of jurisdiction issues that do happen. I think it's a bit Hollywood sometimes, but I'm sure there's maybe some, like, there's undoubtedly you speak to one wrong person and there's an issue, whatever, right? But this kind of narrative or idea that it's insurmountable to the point where someone's going to be able to do crazy shit again and again, I'm just very skeptical of, you know? Later that day, they took the report but told us they would not act on it because it was happening outside of their jurisdiction. LA County alone is over 40 separate police departments. They told us to go to a different police department and then sent us back to them. So it became a game of hot potato with them pointing fingers at each other but refusing to act on it. It was always the same loop, but the order is from X, but the predator lives in Y, but the victim's address is in Z. Okay, here we go. Dude, what is this? A 10-second clip? What? Dude, this is crazy. Why not play a fuller clip that gives us more context to go, okay, yeah, no, you're clearly getting passed around from pillar to post here. But no, okay, so again, just a 10-second clip with no real context to understand what's being said. Okay, good. Excellent. The court instructed the police that they were supposed to arrest TwoMad, but the authorities always argued it was a different police department's job. This is a definition of weaponized ignorance and incompetence. The instances provided throughout this document are just a few examples. There were countless instances that were way worse. The Superior Court had authority over LAPD, so the court ordered the instruction to arrest TwoMad upon violating the orders. Well, did you tell him that he was black? Because I tell you what, if you tell the LAPD that a suspect is black, normally that piques their interest. Let's put it that way, okay? The court had no real way to know that the LAPD is not enforcing the order that was given to them. The proper formal legal way to address this is to file contempt paperwork, which is, in simpler terms, just means that you're notifying the court that the order is being maliciously disobeyed and needs to be enforced. It requires a lot of paperwork and is not taken lightly. The courthouse had to verify all the information before they scheduled any hearing. The contempt hearing was primarily focused on TwoMad committing multiple felonies, not only in individuals' lives, but also TwoMad trying to dispose of his illegal firearms that he owns, as he was ordered by the Supreme Court to surrender legally. I'll make it very clear for the last time that the investigation into his possession of illegal firearms was conducted by professionals in real life, not Twitter detectives. The existence of real firearms had been proven many times, and authorities were just trying to figure out where they came from. TwoMad tried to dispose of those firearms, and it made the investigation significantly more complicated as a result. Most criminal investigations and legal matters often take years. For example, the legal process caused by the McSkillets tragedy was only recently concluded after 5 years. What is this? What is this, dude? You cannot be serious right now. What the fuck is this supposed to be? There's a little graphic. Dude. This is very meme-worthy. Now imagine how complicated it is when the end goal from the law's perspective is to destroy the supply and not the customer, because you'll only solve one problem and not be at the source of many. I think it goes without saying that it's obvious that if there's somebody out there who can supply firearms to psychopaths like TwoMad without actually being noticed by authorities.
Link to Henry's video with timestamp. It's at the beginning. Checked box
Hey.
25k. Credit. Black flash of chat.
Thank you very much for the 400 bits. Appreciate that. We'll look at that in a sec. There's a huge source of problems. That's why the investigation into TwoMad's firearms was so extensive, and the main reason why nobody was allowed to talk about it. I mean, this suggests, though, that TwoMad was getting a firearms from some illegal person. But could it not just be that he bought it from a friend and it wasn't like a legal transaction or something? Because in America, like, I don't think you can just go to your friend's house and go, oh, that's a nice gun, can I have it? And you give them $500 and they go, yep, there's the gun. Is there like paperwork and stuff you've got to do or something? Like, even in a private sale. I could be wrong, I'm not 100%. But I would have thought there's some sort of documentation you have to do to make the transaction legal. Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, you can? Okay. Dude, America's fucking insane. What about in California? Wouldn't the rules be stricter? The gun show loophole. Oh, yeah, there's a name for it. Right. Yeah. You have to, in California, you've got to tell the seller your pronouns when you buy it. That makes it legal.
All right, so while he thinks this shit's a game, this lawsuit right here is filed by the girl that he was quote unquote joking about. She is looking for $25,000, or she was. Isabella Montagna. She was looking for 20.
Hey guys! Apparently, I'm reading a gun website. Apparently, there's no way to purchase a firearm off the books in California. There is no gun show loophole. There is no paperless gun sale. So I think in California, I think then that purchasing a firearm privately would be considered an illegal firearm because you've not processed whatever the necessary paperwork is. I think.
25,000, and it was because, as she said, you know, he pulled the blicky on her while she was
wait a sec.
Montagna. She was looking for 25.
Wait, but this document, does this not show that they were asking for money and it was a civil case? Oh yeah, also, of course, that's another good point. He's Canadian. He's Canadian too. So hang on a sec. So this narrative, right, okay, this seems to go against what Jameski's saying. But again, I'm not a legal expert. I'm not finalizing my thought on a legal document because I don't know for sure. But he's certainly not contending with this. Like, this doesn't seem to be addressed in his document. Why don't you just call TwoMad and ask? Good one, Nicholas. How many times is that you made a joke about TwoMad being dead? I think that's probably the 50th time, I would say. This doesn't seem real to me. This seems fucking stupid. I don't understand what the point of this is. Like, this idea that they were trying to track down the seller of the firearm. That seems fucking gay. It's public knowledge that TwoMad was fascinated with doing illegal activities to see what he could get away with. It was an actual addiction, and only gotten worse over the years. Many victims are real people. Unfortunately, some fans keep looking for excuses of his actions, mainly blaming others who are often the real victims of TwoMad. The reasoning is just parroting what TwoMad said. Are there any examples of this? Like, where are all of these TwoMad fans? TwoMad has lifted with Tipster's last known brain cell. Where are all these TwoMad fans? Most people were like, TwoMad's crazy. Who are all these TwoMad fans that were hardline defending him? You know, there's multiple streams of him talking to people from the commentary community and all of them being like, yeah, TwoMad, you're kind of crazy, bro. What's going on? Right? I'm losing it over here. I'm losing it. I understand that people may speculate and make wrong assumptions based on the limited amount of information compared to what the authorities had, not all of which was disclosed in public records or is a completely separate matter the DAs were preparing on their own. The contempt was only focused on the LAPD not doing their job of enforcing the order. The reasons why the police department would not enforce the order varied from incompetence to actual confidential investigations. But even with the investigations, it was necessary to enforce the order to confiscate the guns to protect everyone involved, as his psychotic behaviour progressively became extremely unhinged throughout the year and people's lives at risk, TwoMad included. The court reviewed out, dude, it's just... Well, we're nearly there. We've got about you know, a fifth of the document left. The court reviewed everything related to the contempt hearing paperwork, confirming it was valid. The court scheduled a completely separate hearing from the Australian case about 3 weeks from the day it was approved. Okay, you're just chucking random dates now. This is like Gish Gallop of a document. TwoMad's lawyer agreed in writing that will provide the service to TwoMad regarding the contempt hearing, saving us thousands of dollars. Since TwoMad was already caught hiding away from the authorities, he knew the severity of the implications and how much trouble he was actually in. Tim, it's not a matter of if, it was a matter of when he would be arrested. This makes you wonder why the defence scheduled a remote hearing for that appearance. Criminal matter hearing turned into a circus. The defence had the audacity to claim that TwoMad was unaware of the hearing, despite TwoMad's lawyer accepting the service and the defence scheduling their actual appearance. See, this is all totally irrelevant. Like, none of this matters. Okay, this is all completely like full of conjecture, full of his personal bias. None of this matters. None of this should be in here. This is pure exuberance to include all this bullshit that doesn't really mean anything to the matter at hand. Right? You called this guy a pedophile, rapist, and attempted murderer. Okay? Where's any backing to any of those claims in any of this fucking document? Okay? And I am more aligned to the idea that he did at least sexually harass, if not assault, that woman. I'm more pointing in that direction with it, right? Okay? But like, well, none of it matters at all, right? Yes, no, oh my God. No, yes, he's dead, correct. But I think it's fucked to call someone a pedophile and that to stick on someone and they can't defend themselves because they're dead. and no one else is going to fucking defend them. I think that it's reasonable to say, hey, this guy isn't a fucking pedophile and you've not proven that. TwoMad seems more... He's definitely a harasser. 100% he harassed those women. Okay? I'm just saying it is an allegation that he raped or assaulted someone, which I'm sort of a little bit inclined to believe because of some of the things I've seen and looked at in this case. But he's claimed it not only that he raped one guy, okay, one person, but like that he's got multiple victims now. And he's shown nothing to back that up whatsoever. LA Court Connect appearances by Mudaya Sadiq. When TwoMad's lawyer realised that he was here and wanted to talk, he implied continuously that TwoMad should just shut up and plead the fifth. He even explicitly advised him, in front of everyone, not to answer any questions. At one point, his lawyer had to intervene directly to stop TwoMad from talking, telling the court that they shouldn't ask him any questions because he lacks competency. The judge had to address the defence, changing their mind about the situation was inappropriate. It was also brought up that there was no paperwork done regarding TwoMad being notified about the situation. He sounds like a good lawyer. Yet they still both showed up, and TwoMad's lawyer explicitly said he was only representing him that day, while also claiming he was no longer obligated to do so. He didn't want to do anything with the shit show moving forward. The judge ordered that the paperwork be provided regarding TwoMad's lawyer accepting the service and rescheduled the contempt hearing the same day. Like, what is the point of all of this? As the permanent order hearing. This is all pointless bullshit! What? Why? It's so fucking gay, man. It's absolutely flood with all this fucking shit, man. I can't bear it anymore. Just endless shit that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. You called him a pedophile, rapist, attempted murderer. Where's the proof of that? From my personal understanding, like, you know, you've called him a pedophile, and we're here going over the intricacies of the litigation that was happening. That doesn't prove any... God, Jameskie's such a fucking sack of shit, man. I wish that TwoMad had gone to fucking TwitchCon, to be honest with you, okay? I wish he had gone to fucking TwitchCon and taught Jameskii a fucking lesson. Because this is in stuff... If he'd gone to TwitchCon, I wouldn't be sat here reading this fucking document right now, okay? Jesus Christ. Okay, calm down, everyone. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. I want to get through the whole thing. Now we're near the end. From my personal understanding, the reason is that TwoMad's lawyer, he wanted to be out. TwoMad's lawyer TwoMad's lawyer accepted the service of scheduled consent hearing to the same day as the pertinent order hearing, which was supposed to take place in a few days. From my personal understanding, the reasoning is that TwoMad's lawyer indicated he wanted to be out. Legally, TwoMad is entitled to have a lawyer, so the court provided the continuance to find him new counsel. I mean, it's possible, isn't it? Wait, Kate was at that TwitchCon. What are you insinuating? Oh my god. The continuance was scheduled for the same date as the permanent order hearing, most likely because it would be more accessible for everybody involved to have everything done in one day, assuming the hearing takes place and doesn't get another continuance. Contempt not held continued. On the final day, hearing day, TwoMad's lawyer addressed this situation with TwoMad to the judge, acknowledging that he wanted to do nothing with him and left. As in, TwoMad's lawyer literally walked out, leaving TwoMad by himself. Pro per representing himself. Wait, hang on a sec. Do we think that's true? I can believe that. Because imagine you've got a ketamine-infused client that is self-incriminating. You're probably just going to be like, God, I can't be fucked with this. This is stupid. Right? I think, at very least, I want to believe that's true because it's funny. Imagine being so schizo your lawyer walks out on you. Oh, the issue is now that due to the circumstances and how the legal system works, TwoMad was entitled to a new lawyer and able to get another continuance to drag out the case even more. We retracted the criminal contempt hearing from the same day so we could do it another time and proceed with the civil one that day. We already knew TwoMad was going to be arrested regardless. The government was already preparing everything necessary for the prosecution. Okay. He keeps saying this. Surely there must be something to back this up. Something. Anything. Anything. Wait, what's this, Nicholas? Yeah, so she blocked me on everything, so my last-ditch effort was to read an apology I knew wasn't true to get an unblock. I was sent by Digital Rave Boy. He helped me out because he's a degen who had sex with a 14-year-old when he was an adult. Fuck that guy, but him and Goldie better friends. There's Nicholas's response. Wait, Nicholas. You pulled a H-bomber guy. You were the you were... TwoMad was James Summerton to your H-bomber guy, clearly. The amount of financial damages TwoMad caused already exceeded 6 figures, and his deliberate malicious actions put me in debt and forced me to live paycheck to paycheck. We couldn't drag this out any longer. Pursuant to stipulation, the order to show cause re contempt is dismissed without prejudice. Dude, this is all so fucking stupid, man. So this is all hinging on the idea that the DA was about to swoop in and arrest him, but he's providing nothing to show that. And also, like, God, it's so infuriating. Someone makes some crazed claim and the document comes out and it's fucking dog shit. Again and again and again. You called him a fucking pedophile. You called him a fucking pedo, man. Where's that? Where's the pedo shit? You know, at the rate, walk it back if you're not going to back it up. But it's nowhere to be seen. All this proves is what we already knew, that he was a psychotic harasser and an internet stalker. That's it. That's all this proves, and we already knew that. These people need editors to edit this shit down. Okay, I've got to be honest. Your long, rambling diatribe about how you entered a relationship consensually is not necessary for the story. Get rid of that in the other thing we looked at yesterday, right? This lengthy story about the court proceedings and what happened when is not necessary. Cut all that out, okay? Where's the pedo evidence? Where's the rapist evidence? And where's the fucking attempted murder evidence? We were cleared to disclose information to the public. TwoMad swore under oath. Do you both solemnly state that the testimony you may give in the matter of pending should be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, help you God? Thank you. Have a seat. So you need to answer the oath and then state your full name. I agree. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Siddiq. The victim testified to the court and addressed sexual assaults, including but not limited to coercion via intimidation. Wait, what? What's the point of this? What is the point of this if you're not going to show anything? It's just this. What is this? And then this. Great. I know that TwoMad apparently swore an oath in court. Wow. What brilliant information that does nothing to prove anything. Thank you, Jameskii, fucking retard. Dude, this... It's like a collage of random bullshit. The victim testified to the court and addressed the sexual assaults, including but not limited to coercion by intimidation. In the testimony, mentions of brandishing firearms, violent threats towards herself and witnesses, as well as target threats towards family involving TwoMad. Sending of school packages to her family's home were brought up. TwoMad's history of swatting was introduced, and a definition of swatting and doxing was provided. He just says that happened. TwoMad attempted to make... What is this shit, man? TwoMad attempted to make the same false claims he made online against the victim in court, which were immediately shut down by the judge. He had to be reminded he was under oath, and afterwards he did not deny any of the claims brought against him. He provided no evidence to the court to refute her claims, despite having months to do so, so he realised the investigation already knew what was happening. The investigation and legal... knew... Oh yeah, I saw that disabled predator yesterday. The investigation and legal always knew that TwoMad's evidence that included messages, photos and audio were fake. There was a stack of paper thicker than a book that would describe how and what kind of artificial evidence he had created, including him creating fake chains of text message conversations with victims. No, alt account TwoMad made with an edited apology from Obama after he was blocked to get the victim's attention. Guys, I'm going to make up a bunch of extra bullshit because if I'm honest about what happened, people might take it seriously. So I'm going to ramp up the severity to 100 because I'm smart as fuck like an astronaut. That the evidence TwoMad was showcased on Twitter was always fake. I am very skeptical about this idea that TwoMad, in the midst of his K-hole fueled actions, was there meticulously putting together believable fake messages. That sounds insane to me. Bro, the Jameskii AI voice I commissioned and will pretend is my fucking Batman earpiece in vlogs. Imagine I'm the Best Buy put my finger in my ear to call my lawyer because I slipped on a fucking laptop carrying case and Jameskii voice goes, TwoMad, we potentially litigate here for XYZ. What is this? At this point, the judge asked TwoMad for his defense and he read a statement written by ChatGPT that the judge instantly shot down. Why not provide I mean, he could have made it himself. Why not provide the fucking script of this? Why is this, which is presumably this quoting from the court documents, like showing nothing? So you're flitting between showing what is supposed to be a court document of the transcript and then, oh yeah, this happened. Were you going to show that? No, I'm just going to say what happened. It's so, dude, this Jameskii guy's a total freak loser, man. Like, dude, move on. Hopefully this gives him, as much as I think he's a little fucking freak weirdo, idiot, maybe this document will give him some peace and he can move on from TwoMad. Because fuck me, man, this is an absolute shit show. We're near the end now. Just reminding under oath, I think he's aware of that, counsel. Do you have any comment on the rest of the exhibits that you know attached to a petition of the email, the text message shots, and they're maybe not the most tasteful comments, sir? Yeah, I don't really have anything to say. Is this really... Would a judge say this? I am skeptical about even whether this is real, but I'm not going to dwell on it because it's fucking waste of time. Let's keep moving. TwoMad was not harmless. He wanted his victims, including myself, to be dead. During the hearing... So... I think he's probably said that, and you'd be reasonable to think maybe he did, but, you know, to me, he came across as a total schizo psycho. I don't know if it was like he was going to go kill someone, but he just said a bunch of shit because he was crazy. That's my perception. You know, Goldie Bell shouldn't have to sit there and go, oh, is he not? I don't know. Think he's crazy and think he's coming to kill you. That's fine. Okay? But like, yeah, I don't know if like it's actually true that in truth he actually wanted. Look it up. It's public records. I'm not going to go and look up the fucking court documents now to figure out whether or not this is true or not. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. I'm spending too much time on this as it is for a dead guy. Like, you can think... It's like this, okay, for example, right? You're walking down the street, okay, and there's a black guy walking behind you, right? And you're a white woman. So you cross the road because you're worried about a dark man on a dark night walking behind you. Okay? And it could be that you're operating off like a racial bias, say, and there's no danger at all. But in the moment, you feel that way. And I think that's fine for you to feel that way because a woman walking alone at night with any man behind them is going to feel worried. But that doesn't mean that the guy is an actual danger factually. It just means you perceive it as a danger. And by the same token, Goldie Bell could perceive TwoMad as a danger, and that's reasonable for her to perceive it that way, and it's reasonable for her to want to get a restraining order against him. But that doesn't mean that it's true that he was definitively a danger and a risk and wanted people dead, right? So I can sit here and I can go, okay, well, it doesn't look like that to me based on my perception, but still recognize that someone at the sharp end of his harassment would look at it differently, and that's fine, and you can file your restraining order, right? But Jameskii is coming into this and being like, oh no, he wanted people dead 100%. And then also he's almost trying to use it as a way to back up this kind of, attempted murder claim. Which is just not present at all. During this hearing, TwoMad fully realised the government knew everything for a long time, and not just the supporting evidence for the restraining order. For the civil case, the burden of proof had been met, and the order was made permanent to protect the victim from TwoMad's violent retaliation towards his victim for tipping off the authorities. He was going to be arrested by the government, completely separate from that civil hearing. You must not do the following thing to the protected person: harass, intimidate, molest, attack, strike, stalk, threaten, assault, sexual, otherwise hit, abuse, destroy. Okay, yeah, this is pretty boilerplate stuff, right? So TwoMad has repeatedly admitted to SA in public via social media and live streams. Right, here we go.
Hey, TwoMad, quick question. When you tried to give weed, was it to sort of ease her into finally giving you coochie? That's for 5 from Polbun.
I think so. Yeah, I feel like that's obvious though. Right? Like I don't usually I've never done that before. But that's kind of why you do drugs. Like I remember when I was like 14, I was like a girl rejected me and I was like I should smoke weed.
I need Queenman to come in here and translate again, like with JStalk. What am I missing exactly? Explain to me what I'm missing. I think I'm 100% correct in what I'm saying. I don't think I'm getting anything wrong with this. I think my take is bang on the money. I think the guy came across as totally insane and schizo and crazed. And I think that the people involved, like Goldie Bell, are right to feel scared and worried about him. But for me, I'm not sat here thinking, oh yeah, this guy was on the precipice of killing someone and is going to murder someone. There's a difference between saying you're going to kill someone in a crazed state and the person feeling harassed and stalked by that and wanting to do something about it. Okay. And someone going to kill someone and attempting to kill someone, right? Like saying I'm going to kill you is different to putting up a gun, pulling the trigger and missing. The second is attempted murder. The first is like a threat or harassment or stalking or something, right?
I'm not saying you're guilty or not. I haven't looked into your case. I'm gonna look into your case after I'm done with this Bryant case.
I fucking did it. Fuck him. I'd do it again.
Bro, but you can't, bro. They're gonna use this in court.
You're missing the good evidence and credible threats that the police took seriously and evidence of SA. Where? I've just gone through the whole document. Where? Where exactly? It's not in the document,
that's
is
wonderful.
it?
But how do I make money off depressed people?
Jameskii, I just jealous of my gorilla modries.
Thank you for the $3.
I know they can use it. Fuck y'all! I'm sorry. Okay, my bad, dog. Well, I'm paying my lawyer top dollar to explain it to them. That's just humor and funny. It's just.
How did it feel to do a photo shoot with Bella Delphine?
I threw her off the bed. I was very uncomfortable.
But Spud Gun, answer my question. Is it in the document? Yes or no? Is it in the document? Did Jameskii put this in the document? Is it in the document? Yes or no? Just answer that question. Is it in the document? Yes or no? It's simple. Is the thing that you're saying exists, is it in this document? Because if it's not in the document, Jameskii's not done his fucking job, has he? If you got to go off and look at other things and go and look up court documents and look at this and look at this and look at that, you suggest where? Where? Where is it in the court document? Where? What page? Where? What page is in the document? I've just been through it. She refused to have sex with me for months. I touched her inappropriately and demanded sex. Yes, I did do those things. It's not criminal coercion, lol. I'm not a boss or co-worker or teacher. If you're just a guy, then you could be like SMD or get the fuck out. They don't imprison you for that is normal. Were they even discussing the essay under oath? What, here? I've just been through this bit and it's not there. Anyway, listen, if you can't come on and say it's fine. I'm not banning anyone over that, come on. I'm just like, I'm looking at it now and I can't see it and I'm being told it's there. And I'm like, where is it? I only rapped her once. TwoMad was well aware of the consequences in private for years too. This is the last effort I'm going to make for you, dude. Because the thing is as well, is I said when I started this, I lean more towards the idea that he did do something with that woman, right? Like, I don't really understand where you're coming from. You're being a total retard here. I lean towards the idea that he did it, but what I'm seeing here doesn't really back or bolster that claim for me. I'm not seeing enough here that I'm like, oh yeah, okay, there we go. There's something to demonstrate this idea of the assault or rape, or this extra claim that he's now made, that there's like multiple victims. You know, there's multiple victims of TwoMad, and that he's made life hell for like multiple women. Like, where's the proof of any of that? He's said it and he's not provided anything, you know? And if Jameskii wanted to come forward with something more substantive, that's fine. He could have done that, right? Okay, but he hasn't. I still think, despite the document, that TwoMad probably did commit some sort of sex crime against the woman, okay? I'm just saying it's not well documented or proven here. And what he hasn't shown is, you know, proof of an attempted murder or of pedophilia, right? And I think that's correct. I think I'm correct about that. If there's other stuff I need to look at, that's fine. I obviously can look at it if I wanted to and see what I want to say about it, right? But if it's not in the document, well, that's Jameskii's bad. Jameskii's had months to prepare this, and he's done a bad job. Oh, well, a month, I guess. When did TwoMad die? About a month ago. TwoMad was well aware of the consequences in private for years too. This is the last effort I'm going to make for you, dude. You sexually assaulted somebody. I covered for you and wrote your apology in exchange for you saying you'll get therapy, and then you flat out told me that this was a lie after she forgave you. You're displaying insane mental illness and you need to seek psychotherapy. I can't make this any clearer to you. If this goes any further, it's going to ruin your whole life. Can you tell him to chill? I mean, do you think he's wrong though? I was like, oh shit. Ninja about to cancel me, whoa. Twitter fingers. Do you think he's wrong? Well, I don't think I'm insanely mentally ill. I understand the sexual assault, but... This message in the screenshot to the left sent to TwoMad from TwoMad's best friend at the time. This is the last effort I'm going to make for you, dude. You sexually assaulted somebody. I covered for you and wrote your apology in exchange for you saying you'll get therapy, and then you flat out told me this was a lie after she forgave you. You're displaying insane mental illness and need to seek psychotherapy. I can't make this any clearer to you. If this goes any further, it's going to ruin your whole life. Yeah, all understood. You should ask him to clarify if you don't get what he's saying. I do get it. Okay. Right, what's this? Oh, I've seen this clip.
I am literally driving, but I'm literally in Oregon, fucking Washington, Oregon. Dab. Okay. So apology. All right. So I can't take the damage away that I've done, but I'll try my best. Okay. Okay. I at least want to take responsibility for what the fuck I did. You know, like the way I treated you and like viewed you. This is not like okay. Like I pushed past your fucking boundaries just for like my own fucking self-serving reasons. I made like sexual advances you weren't comfortable with, you know what I mean? And I truly do like regret all of that like so much. Yeah. I never wanted you to like fear for your safety or anything, but like I understand it's like how you felt. And I'm like, you know, so I'm like, sorry, as best I can say it, you know. You know, it was as if that wasn't enough. You know, I acted like super obsessive after you know, I realized you left. And I'm going to therapy, genuinely. I'm going to therapy. I'm working fucking. That shit is tough, but I'm going to it. You know, to like fix whatever the fuck parts of my brain or just like let me act that way. And I'm like, I'm 1,000% sure I'll never do it to anyone else. You know, but fucking. Sorry for making you wait for this, deal.
Okay. And oh, this document. No, this is not an official agreement. TwoMad wrote this in an attempt to salvage the situation and undo the damage. The victim had TwoMad blocked and did not agree to this. The photo that contract TwoMad sent included the metadata of where and when the photo was taken, which showed he took the photo at his old house. How about I just kill all of you for ever making me feel threatened for your career? My reason to do all this was to protect people from a violent predator. I've been protecting victims of online predators for a very long time. And we did the pedophile, does he even address the pedophile shit? Like, we're getting to the end of the document. Oh, hang on. It's down here. I think it's coming up now. I just saw real children there. I've been protecting victims for online predators for a very long time, and we successfully brought consequences for every single one of them so far because it was handled accordingly. Unfortunately, this particular instance was publicised in a very misleading way by TwoMad and his fans on purpose. Everyone knows Jameskii sued TwoMad. It's difficult to follow because the law is complicated, and it wasn't just limited to California. It involved multiple countries, states, and jurisdictions. This is not the court of public opinion. This is a real legal criminal matter. There were real victims, and it made addressing a lot of stuff to the public extremely complicated as is. It's important to cover that it's public knowledge that TwoMad had repeatedly expressed predatory behaviour towards real children, and the full severity of it can't be addressed for obvious reasons to protect the vulnerable. Dude, oi, you're in LA, let me essay you with a minor. Can you moan like a... You can read it. Right, this is nuts, man. Look, does it look fucking weird and sus? Yes, sure, but I just do not think this is anywhere near enough to call someone a pedophile. That's insane. Oh, my interpretation of this is yes. This is TwoMad getting called a pedo. He passed away before the DA was able to prosecute him. That's why it's not on his criminal record. So please do not speculate about the identity of his victims, as I've seen a large amount of wrong assumptions that have caused a lot of harm. There's a limited amount of information that I can provide to the public that wasn't public from the beginning. Still, I'm allowed to say that he was supposed to be arrested and tried for several felonies.
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
$5 from Spud Gun. Thank you for being able to listen to dissenting opinion and not banning Chud.
No worries. Thanks for the $5. I got a bit heated there, but thank you very much for the $5. Listen, all it is like I've looked at this and I've been very fair. And from the start, I've always said that TwoMad is like a harasser. This I think makes me more confident to say like stalking. If I'd have thought about it, I might have even said stalking before. But like presenting it as stalking, I'm like, yeah, this is like online stalking. Right, it's harassment, it's stalking. I lean towards the idea that he, likely that probably did commit some sort of assault or some sort of sex crime. But I wouldn't personally call him a rapist. Rapist is quite a harsh term for that. But certainly, I would say that he had a credible allegation of sexual assault. I think that's something like that. So the rape, and even when I first covered this, I was like, yeah, rapist is like. I can understand why someone might call him a rapist. Do you see what I mean? Even though I wouldn't say it myself, I'm like, okay, yeah, rapist, sure. It was always the pedophile, attempted murderer shit that I was like, nah, that sounds like fucking bullshit. And where's the evidence for that? And this document has not provided any evidence that he's either of those things, you know? So I'm sat here like, you know, to me, I was coming into this thinking, right, here we go. Pedophile, attempted murderer. Boom. Where is it? And it's not here. I know that's unfortunate because it just sounds like he said that in the heat of the moment. And rather than him admitting, look, guys, I was emotional. Having looked at all the evidence now, I can't really back up the idea that he was an attempted murderer. But he said things that were very threatening that I think reasonably made people fearful that he might try and hurt them. I'd be on board with that. I'd be like, yeah, cool. I could agree with that. If he'd have said, although he's got some suspicious comments in regards to children, because they could be jokes, I can't say he's a pedophile, right? I'd be like, yeah, cool. I'm cool with that. And then here's all the harassment and stalking that he engaged in. And here's the proven, you know, restraining order. Here's some court stuff about it. Cool. I'm on board with that, right? But it seems like he's desperate to back up the claims that he can't back up. And it just weakens the whole case that he's made, and it weakens this document, you know? So yeah, that's my kind of view on this document, having read through pretty much all of it now. Anyway, putting everything together required immense work from many departments in numerous jurisdictions. It often would only take one department or officer to mess something up, thus slowing down the entire process for everyone. Just to give you an example of one particular instance, the criminal case of the series of sexual assaults was slowed down by over half a year because a specific police department forgot to forward one case number to a different department, which needed it to pass the complete case to the DA. That police department in question would never return calls. It wouldn't cooperate with any other department in various jurisdictions either, which made the DA unable to proceed with anything else unless they got that one case number. Like, okay. I accept that there are issues with the legal system and there's problems getting stuff through, okay? But I just don't know why Jameskii thinks he's got the ability to assess this at such a broad perspective and understand these dynamics at play. You know, what's his background? Like, is he in criminal justice? Like, without the background, how do you know this? How can you say for sure that this is what's happening? So I don't buy this idea that he's got this knowledge to be able to make these claims about how the legal system works. Yeah, it feels like he's reaching in order to bolster this idea that, no, you don't understand, TwoMad was definitely a hardened criminal, but the police just couldn't get him because of, you know, procedural issues. They just needed to confirm the existence of the case number, which wasn't appearing in their system. Once again, the police department that was supposed to give it forgot to do so or was simply lazy. There was also an instance where the detective didn't click on the correct link that had necessary information that needed to be forwarded to the DA, thus stalling out one of the criminal cases for another 2 months until they were questioned if they did everything right. I understand that many people who paid close attention to the situation may have realised, but I figured, I'll say it directly, I did not celebrate his death. God, no, but you made a bunch of claims that you haven't backed up now. You called him a pedophile. You called him a pedophile, bro. That's like the worst thing you can call someone. Like, worse than a rapist, worse than a murderer. Attempted murderer. A pedophile. You slandered this guy's name, calling him a pedo with no evidence whatsoever. And now you've not provided any evidence to back up that claim, dude. Mental. I feel relief knowing that he didn't end up taking the lives of innocent people. But this wasn't a proper closure. It was quite the opposite. It was primarily known behind the scenes and not publicly, but we saved his life multiple times. And we actually managed to prevent a tragedy on numerous occasions. But unfortunately, the very last time we were too late. It goes without saying that the LAPD was fully aware of TwoMad's situation and didn't do enough of what was in their power. Yes, I mean... yeah. That is possible, I guess. I don't know. TwoMad did not become an evil person just because of drugs, and the amount of damage he's done to his victims, both physically and mentally, cannot be undone. The drugs made things worse, but they're not the main cause of the problem. He's done a lot of horrible things way before he was reckless with hard drugs. See, this again sounds like he's thinking of the past with him and talking about that, you know? The drugs only made him more reckless and fearless, so please don't use drugs as a blanket excuse for all of his actions, but acknowledge the issue as is. Oh. Dude. We got to watch the Henry Resilient video after this, surely. This is a direct call out of Henry. This is I'm pretty sure this is Henry Resilient's video. TwoMad wasn't just being edgy. He repeatedly hurt people physically and weaponized fans' ignorance to save himself from consequences. So sure. So on the other side of it, right, I do think that there were likely people that were just saying, oh, he's just edgy. He's just edgy. He's just edgy. Okay? And it's easy to sit there when you're not the target of his harassment and go, oh, he's just being edgy, though. Well, if you're harassed by him, again, as I've said earlier, you shouldn't have to stop and figure out, oh, is he just being edgy? Or, you know, maybe, you know, no. Take action. Get this guy away from you. That's fine, you know? But I think another thing that James has done throughout this document is overstated his own involvement and his own role in the whole proceedings. And I think he has tried to put himself in a position where he's at a lot higher risk than I think he truly ever was. I think Goldie Bell is well within her rights to be freaked out and was probably most at risk in all of this, if anyone was. But Jameskii has kind of inserted himself very strongly into it. And then he's kind of stitched together stuff to make it seem like he's at more risk. And I think part of the reason that he's doing that is because he's got this existing beef with TwoMad. And I think part of this is a follow-on from his previous shit that he's had with him, right? That's what it comes across like in this document. So yeah. He repeatedly hurt people physically and weaponized fans' ignorance to save himself from consequence. He purposely hurt his victims to gain something out of it and then hurt them further to suppress them. The biggest reason many of the situations weren't brought to the public at the time was because it was a severe and complicated matter that put people's lives at risk. It wasn't some petty drama, and TwoMad being awful was never a secret. We've been working with police for a long time, and everything the public needs to know in the eyes of the law has been made publicly available. It takes little to no time to research, and anyone can look up keywords on TwoMad's Twitter or watch his live streams to see what's going on. As he was being read as an open book, it was not a character. I highly respect people who have done their independent research, acknowledged the situation without dragging the victims' names into it, and called out certain people for trying to sway public opinion by purposely omitting facts or making shit up to make fabricated buzz news at the expense of TwoMad and his victims. This is Henry's video, right? Jameskii's obsession with TwoMad gets exposed. Jameskii, you are obsessed with TwoMad. That's just true. As far as I can tell, my opinion at least. You are obsessed with TwoMad since the fucking drama from before, clearly. All of your actions demonstrate that you are. You tweeted out within 30 minutes of his death making claims that you didn't back up with evidence, and you haven't done so now. Like, to me, it seems fucking obvious that yes, you are still obsessed with TwoMad, you know? I'm concerned that most people are now conditioned to think everything is just online drama. In reality, some situations are incredibly dire and must be handled accordingly. This guy is a total fucking moron, man. I'm concerned that most people are now conditioned to think everything is just online drama. You made it a drama. What? When you tweet out within 30 minutes of someone dying that they're a pedophile, when you haven't got any evidence of that, that creates a drama. Yes, correct. That's you. That's on your shoulders. You added to that with the way you dealt with this. Lastly, I respect people who realise they may have accidentally represented facts and acknowledged that were wrong. It doesn't matter if it's small details or massive facts. It's a proper way to think and respond. Anything related to TwoMad, past, present, and future, will be limited to this Google Doc, as I don't believe my channel is the right place for this kind of stuff. I kindly ask people to respect that and to leave the victims alone. Don't bring up names or photos and don't speculate about identities. Be responsible. Thank you. Jesus Christ. Holy shit, that was something. Yeah, literally the only thing that's changed in my perspective on this, via this document, is the addition of the idea that it wasn't. I mean, if I'd have thought about it, I would have probably called it stalking. But just being presented in that context, I'm like, yeah, this is actually stalking. This is like online stalking, right? It's harassment and stalking, because you're setting up multiple accounts to kind of continue to fucking talk to someone and get around blocks. I think that's also like online stalking too, right? You know, especially if you're setting up accounts to view someone's story, and then the next day on Instagram, and then the next day you're commenting on it, right? That's that's crazed to me. So there's a couple of things in there that are like, okay, but most of it is just insane, unnecessary details to back up a claim that most people already think that, you know, he is a crazed psychotic freak.
But how do I make money off depressed people?
$9.99 from Tiny Fella. I don't know shit about this Jameskii guy, but it seems like he wanted this to happen, so he talked shit without getting harassed by TwoMad.
Thank you very much for the $10. Appreciate it. What's this? Oh, the harassment thing is to me, it's to question the harassment thing. You've got to be a retard, right? It is just a matter of record that a restraining order was filed against TwoMad due to Goldie Bell, and apparently also to Jay, but definitely to, you know, I don't know if I've seen the documents for that. I think maybe a Henry video, but 100%, 100% definitely a restraining order was filed against TwoMad for the sake of Goldie Bell. Okay, that is a matter of public record at this point. So anyone that's questioning that is an idiot. Yeah. And yeah, it was correct to file the restraining order. 100% correct. Because he was harassing and stalking this poor lady, regardless of her misdeeds, regardless of what she did wrong. He was harassing and stalking her, yes. And that was fucking insane. Apparently, he even circumvented the restraining order to continue to speak to her. I mean, that's just fucking absurd. I think Goldie emailing the professor and calling it SA at the time means I'm not going to believe any of TwoMad's stories about it being paid or totally consensual, to be honest. You think the messages are faked? Yeah, I mean, I've always, ever since, when did I first think, yeah, the sex essay probably happened? I think some of the court documents, it was the court documents with the restraining order where it got referenced that I was like, okay, yeah, this probably did happen. I'm more leaning to the side of that. But yeah. I argued against you saying it didn't happen when this first dropped. Well, dude, I wasn't going to bring it up, okay, because it's always cringe to fucking bring shit like that up. I mean, in fairness to you, I think that when we argued about it, I think I feel like you were kind of sold on the idea it was harassment, but you just didn't think it needed to be public. And I was like, well, it is public now, and I think this stuff is fucked or something. But I can't remember exactly. But yeah. No, we did talk about it. I do also think that, like, it's difficult because, like, I'm annoyed with Jameskii. I'm annoyed with Jameskii, okay? I think Jameskii's a fucking retard, right? But, like, I feel like there's some takes that I'm seeing. I don't even know if there's anything specific I can point to go, this is the take I'm thinking of. But it's almost like some people are, like, too defensive of TwoMad, if that makes sense. Do you see what I mean? Like, I think if you're going to talk about this, it's important to recognize that whilst some of these claims are bullshit and have not got good evidence for, right? You know, TwoMad was a complete psychotic freak, And it's important to say that, I think, because he was harassing and stalking someone. And it is correct to point that out, and it is fine to point that out, because that is, you know, as far as I can tell, true. And, you know, some people, it feels like they're letting the hatred of Jameskii, which is fair because it's fucking annoying, overwhelm the fact that there is some definite behavior that TwoMad engaged in that is 100% worthy of criticism. And at the very least, I think you've got to accept that this allegation of assault that this woman made, the Goldie Bell made, is credible. It's a credible allegation. You know, I don't think this idea that she was just making it up whole cloth, I think, is silly. And I think that is, you know, that, I think that's why I popped up a bit in chat, because I felt like, well, I mean, yeah, maybe you came halfway through, but I said right at the start all of the stuff that, yeah, I think he is a bad guy, essentially.
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
$10 from Fast and Bulbous. It's irresponsible to make strong claims over the dead just because you thought the law would have found him guilty. You'll never
Thank you for
get
the $10.
justice, you aren't the court.
Fast and Bulbous. But Queenman, what was this you mentioned about the email? I might have skipped over that. Let's have a look. That's all good, doesn't matter. I was just annoyed because, do you know what? Someone actually messaged me about JStalk. A friend of mine messaged me about JStalk and had mentioned what had happened, that Queenman had come on. And they said, oh, you know, JStalk was like saying retarded things about it. And I sort of replied and I was like, you know, oh yeah, fucking JStalk's got this weird takes on this stuff sometimes. So it's just a bit annoying that I was getting compared to someone that had told me he had a shit take on it. Because JStalk is a bit retarded on this stuff, okay? You know, I noticed it with, what else was it that he covered that I thought he had a bad take on? It was one of the Twitch predators. It was who was it? Derek Graz, right? I watched a short clip of him. I think it was off stream, but I watched a short clip of him talking about the Derek Graz situation, and he said like, "Oh well, you know, I think this date could have been pre-planned, right? I thought this date could have been pre-planned." And I was thinking, no, what? Where are you getting that from? No, it's pretty fucking obvious that it wasn't pre-planned, and that it was what it was, which is that he invited her down, didn't tell her it was a date, and broadcast a sex act without her knowledge. And this was before the interview came out with the woman, but like, yeah, it seemed fucking obvious that was the case. And then he was given a take on the idea that the guy was selling nudes for kick subs. And to me, I was like, yeah, it was like, yeah, pretty obvious to me, 90% at least, that he was just selling nudes for kick subs. But JStalk's take was like, well, you don't know. It might be that he's got the permission to sell the nudes. And I'm just like, like you're concocting like some insane series of events like that go against what just the most simple explanation would be, you know? And it's like, like, I think that there's this thing like, oh, dude, I don't know what I want to call this, okay? But I think that in these cases, right, there's an issue sometimes where people are too skeptical, right? Like, I'm skeptical and I get things wrong sometimes. I'm not correct on everything, you know? There's times I look at something, and the problem with looking at something as it's happening is something can come out that changes it. So you need to kind of amend course and, you know, adjust your perspective, right? So I try and keep the right level of skepticism to keep my mind open to different opportunities, okay? But like, there's a case, it's like, it's almost like you're presented with so much information that points to A. It points to A, it points to A, right? That B is maybe possible, but you've got to make a lot more logical leaps to get to B. So for example, point A, the guy sat there getting kick subs and then handing over nudes, right? Is to me, like, that seems like the most likely explanation. He's doing it without permission and he's basically selling revenge porn, right? That's A. But then B, no, actually what was happening was is he'd spoken to his partner, you know, she had given permission that it was okay for him to sell the nudes, and he was conducting a consensual transaction of nude images. Well, no, that's like more jumps that you need to make, and you're being too skeptical, I think, to what is like staring you in the face, which is this guy is a total freak and is using his platform to broadcast voyeurism, you know, and selling nudes of people without permission. Like that's just the most obvious, easiest explanation. But you're applying an additional level of skepticism to this claim to get to a position that makes less sense, you know? And I've not watched any of the footage, but when my friend messaged me about it and said, you know, this conversation, I was like, yeah, that sounds like JStalk. That sounds like JStalk, based on what I've seen before. And that's not a slight on JStalk. I like JStalk, okay? JStalk's a good dude. I wish him all the best with his content. But I just think that sometimes it's okay to like not be skeptical and just look at information and go, okay, yeah, it probably is that. You know, you don't even have to say 100%, right? You can just say, well, based on all the information that I've got, yeah, it probably is the case that this guy's a freak fucking schizo harasser, or, you know, it's probable that maybe he did do a sexual assault or something. Do you see what I mean? And I think sometimes in the resistance to the Me Too world, I think that, you know, people are often willing to be too skeptical to the point where things that are staring them in the face, they'll hand wave away, you know? And we just got to be careful to not get into that camp. I'm attaching a copy of that ebook I was mentioning, which I've definitely picked a few tricks from. I don't know how you far along you're on a journey, but if you ever feel like talking, all students are welcome. The more evidence, times, and dates you can gather, the better. Wishing you many safe spaces. Hi, Prof. I'm behind on work and wanted to give you a brief explanation as to why. In short, I've been dealing with a lot mentally. Apologies if this is TMI, but last month I was sexually assaulted and have been dealing with a stalker, so I'm a bit behind on my studies. I'll get the essay in along with the basket ASAP and be prepared for the debate next week. Sorry for the troubles. I'm sorry to hear that. Feel free to take some extra time and take care of yourself. I apologise again. I was on track for class today, but a serious issue regarding the previous situation came up and I'm scheduling an urgent meeting with the school therapist and security. Yeah. The stress of missing class is concerning me, but I don't know how to clear the absences. Is it possible to make up points for the missing debate? She is trying to make an excuse for her homework being late. I mean, yeah, this is like contemporaneous evidence, isn't it? Right? You know, at the very least, I mean, even if the substance of what's being claimed you can't 100% prove, like this, I think this shows that unless you want to say she's just totally making shit up for fucking leeway on a class, which is possible, you know, it seems pretty obvious that TwoMad's actions were giving her a level of stress in her life, right? Which makes sense because we've seen some of it publicly and how he's been acting, you know? You know, and I think that this is, yeah, this is definitely something that you're going to take more seriously than, what is it? Fucking TwoMad's ketamine-fueled ramblings on social media. So, yeah. I mean, I was already leaning towards the sexual assault stuff anyway. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just... This whole document is just dripping with Jameskii's hatred towards TwoMad, and it makes it much harder to take seriously. And also, rapist is a strong word for me. But I do understand someone calling him a rapist. But then when you're calling someone a rapist and you're calling them a fucking pedophile and you're calling them attempted murderer, and two of those claims you can't back up, and one is like, but there's some evidence to suggest that's the case, and the rapist one, like, you're just doing yourself a disservice. Just say he was credibly accused of sexual assault. Like, you know, I think you can just make it a lot more palatable if you just adjust your language a bit or something like that, you know? And just at the start of the document say, I was wrong. I haven't got evidence he's a pedo. I haven't got evidence he's an attempted murderer. But no, he's got to fucking try and squeeze what he's got to make these other claims as well. Oh, boy. Oh, we watched that already. We already watched TwoMad's Biggest Hater. We watched that. Anyway, guys, there we go. I think we've covered this quite well already.